One podcast has crushed the horror landscape, leaving behind the silent audio waves of all of those who have came before. Introducing our host. This man needs no introduction, but needs 7 takes to record his own. He is known for rating bad movies high and known for rating good movies high. Don't try to call him because he only phones it in. He is our host from the foreign land of Canada, Mood 616. This man is willing to die even on the smallest of hills. He argues to the point in which he disagrees with himself. A man who knows a remake when he sees one. He is the Mexican-born super producer known as the humble one and the sexy one, JP. They are known for creating superstars out of their guests. They are known for being the #1 horror podcast on the Horrorphilia Network, except for when they allow others to take a turn. They are the devil's advocate of horror podcasting. They are the 22 shots of moods and horror.
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 86 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live. I am your host from the West Coast, Moods, and of course, I've always got the homie who hates kung fu movies by my side, Double Shot J, also known as JP. What's going on, homie?
Formerly hates martial arts movies.
I still think that you have a very distinct distaste for them.
I do, honestly. And I tried to explain to people why I don't like them, and it always comes off so cunty that I have to, it's better to not even explain it.
Did you drop the word cunty 30 seconds into the show?
I did.
I like it.
So
good.
My beef with martial arts films is that I'm a big fan of actual martial arts, right? So when you're watching these films that so much emphasis is placed on the martial arts, it's like half the movie. And you can tell that things obviously don't work that way. You can tell that it just doesn't happen like that. Then it becomes a giant plot hole. Like, the main point of the film is a plot hole. And I understand, suspend your disbelief, and Jason couldn't really, kill people with a bash in their head.
Freddy's not exactly getting into your nightmares or into your dreams.
Yeah, and I understand that stuff's fake, but the difference is Jason is in a reality in which this thing died and came back to life. So it's part of the story that he's almost undead. And, horror films, usually the stuff that can't happen is part of the narrative anyway. Mm-hmm. When in martial arts films, they are the part of the narrative isn't that they're doing magic tricks. It's that they're really good at fighting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. I'm sort of getting over it, though, honestly, because I'm just trying really hard. I'm like, who cares? Who cares if it doesn't look?
I think it's just part of the fun, because, of course, a lot of the shit that they're doing and fighting off 400
it's not even a lot, though. It's almost all of it. It's 90% of what they're doing is impractical.
But then again, if you made it all super practical, man, it'd be pretty fucking boring. You'd have to admit, I don't think I'd want to watch 2 guys roll around on the ground grappling each other for 5 minutes in the middle of a movie.
Not in the middle of a movie, definitely, but yeah. I mean, it's just the I don't know. It's just that.
Oh, we almost got him in an armbar.
But it's not even. It's not just the impractical things that they're doing. It's certain techniques are clearly actually not capable of doing anything. Certain moves, it's just well that can't happen because of physics. That's not leverage. You're grabbing the wrong spot. That's not going to do anything. It's stuff like that annoys me. It's not necessarily the fact that they can do a backflip front kick thing or something. That's cool, whatever. I'm down with that. But it's actual technical things that are wrong that annoy me. And that's always going to happen, I guess. But I did like American Ninja, which that's what Moods is referencing, because I've started watching the American Ninja films. And I like the second one as well.
Oh, you did like the second one? Oh, shit, man. Wait till you get to the third one.
Why is it bad?
Well, just production value, I think, goes down quite a bit from even those ones that are super low budget already.
I mean, these films are very cliche and just super basic. There's really not much to them other than the actual fighting. So if you can't get past that, you're not going to have anything to enjoy. And one of the things that I actually do like is they're actually killing people sometimes. And normally in martial arts films, they flip them over a bridge or something, you don't see the actual like impact, you know what I mean? Like it's suggested that they're dead, but like you're seeing like spears going kind of like, you're not really seeing it, but like you could tell like they're actually killing people, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, there's canon for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Canon Pictures. I forgot that they did these films until I see the logo come up, and I'm like, Canon. I just watched a documentary on you, and it was awesome.
And the person that was supposed to be the next biggest star was Michael Dudikoff.
Was he? I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He was a big star afterwards, or he wasn't?
No, he never really. He was supposed to be like the next big thing in the like world, type of thing.
Jean-Claude Van Damme or something.
Pretty much, kind of thing, right? But yeah, I never really phased out like that. But yeah, so congratulations on 1,000 subs, bud.
Hey, thanks. Congratulations on 5.
Oh yeah, high five to that.
High five to that.
High five. Yeah, it's a long road to get to 1,000 there for you, but you did it.
I know, good. And it all seemed to sort of come together there for a minute. I've slowed down a little bit just because like I've been super busy this week and stuff, but I still got so many plans to keep like up on the news and keep up on the Ranking Wednesday, which by the way, I had my Top 10 Tuesday and Ranking Wednesday videos already recorded, edited, ready to go, and my internet went out on Wednesday night and it stayed out until today. So both of those days, I uploaded the Wednesday a day late, but I'll just save the Tuesday for next week. And I still got like a bunch more reviews and stuff. And, it's pretty cool. Like, I've been getting a lot of traffic from that actually that Phantasm video I did. Mm-hmm. Like, people have actually said, like, oh, I saw your video in the sidebar, or, oh, I found your video through autoplay, and they're like, I subbed to you or something. And that video has, like, 1,153 views as recording this. It has 60 likes, 36 comments, so... And I remember
everybody was waiting for that Phantasm video, man.
I remember back when I used to do the news videos, like a long time ago, like the first year of my channel. That was one type of video that always got a lot of views. I remember like one of them got like 5,000 views or something. Yeah. Just because people search that shit on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And my goal right now is to have like those type of videos that are going to bring people in, and then also still create like my regular reviews and other type of videos, and hopefully they stay for those. And honestly, like now I'm just having fun with YouTube again, and that's really what it all comes down to, is having fun with it. And you hitting 5,000 is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Like, dude, your channel's getting huge.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. That was pretty cool. I was pretty proud. I did a well, like I said in the beginning of the video that I did, I originally came up with the idea to do that hip hop tag video last summer, and I completely forgot about it. And then so I just added more questions to make it 22, and kind of lighted 22 shots kind of thing. Completely unrelated, but of course I just wanted to make it long. But that got a really pleasant surprise of responses. There is quite a few response videos. There's like at least 10 or 12 already.
Wow, that's
from
crazy.
It. So I was like, that's really crazy. So that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I actually watched that video. It was pretty cool. I was thinking about making a video, but I don't feel like my scope of hip hop is big enough to really get into some of those questions. Like some of the questions I was answering on the spot, and other ones I was like, oh, I have no idea. Yeah.
I know some people went to town with them and made like really, really long videos and stuff. And the questions were designed to not like think too hard about them, but at the same time, I mean, it is tougher for some people. Like I never really thought about it because, your favorite album of all time, people are like, yeah, I have so many favorite ones, but I mean, that's perfectly fine. It's just, for me, I know exactly which one it is,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, we both, within a couple of days of each other hit milestones on YouTube.
I know. I was thinking that too. That's so crazy. That's so crazy.
Yeah, and now I'm racing to catch up to Jeremy.
Where's that little Jew bastard at right now?
Man, I don't even know. I think he's around like 1,020 something, and I'm about at 1,010. Which, by the way,
oh wow, you caught right up to him.
Like that's ridiculous that I gained like 10 subscribers within like 2 days after hitting 1,000, when it took me, I literally was at 950 for months months, people, I was at 950.
Yeah.
So crazy. It's weird how YouTube works, man. Sometimes I was in a just stuck in mud for a while. Jeremy's at 1026, by the way.
Well, just remember, if there's any new developments on Phantasm, just jump on it.
Yeah. Sometimes it sucks because I do want to
video.
make videos, but I'm at work or something, and then sometimes I don't get home till late, and then I'm like and I just let it go, kind of. But I mean, it's definitely fun to do the news videos. Sometimes they take a lot of editing though, which also takes time.
Yeah. That's definitely your thing. I couldn't imagine myself just reporting on. It's just not for me. I like watching those type of videos, but for myself, I'm just like, you do it so much better. I got news videos, man. I'm like fucking Walter Cronkite or some shit like that. I'm not. No.
I always try to think of different type of videos that I could do, or because honestly, like if as a viewer, when I'm subscribed to people, if all they do is reviews and updates, like I just get bored. Like I'll always watch an update, as long as it's not like an hour long modes.
Yeah, well, I get it.
And but reviews I'm not really a fan of. I think once you do so many reviews, you don't even want to hear other people's reviews that often.
I have only generally watched reviews of films that I've seen or reviewed myself and stuff. So
I actually, anytime I record a review, if somebody else has done a review on this typically happens when a new film comes out. Like I'm instantly curious to see what other people said. So I'll always watch those ones. Like for example, once we record this show tonight on Observance, I'll check out everybody's review from last week that posted on it.
Yeah. Well, it was like The Perfect Husband. After I was the last one, I think, of all of us to do a review on it. Well, because I didn't get it until way after you guys. And then I got it, and then I did the review, and then I watched like 7 videos in a row. And I was like, Jesus. Okay, I can't handle any more Perfect Husband reviews, man. That's enough.
Yeah, but I'm with you on that. As long as I've seen the movie or I've just reviewed it or something, I'll check out reviews. But for the most part, I'm always looking for new things. Like what is this person doing that's new? Like I like your Best of the Blind Buy series. I just watched that one that you did. I used to like your 10 and 10s you did back in the day. I liked them so much I did them myself. And there's other people out there who do different type of videos, and that's really what I like to see, is just something different every once in a while. I'm not saying that every video has to be completely unique, but just try. And I was telling Jeremy this too. I was like, just try some different things every once in a while. Like, and that's when he recorded that Out and About. And I think a lot of people like that video. Well,
he could probably make the best ones because,
where's
got like a million places to go to, man. This is nuts. See, I don't make those videos because I did one and people really enjoyed it and stuff, but I don't really have a lot of places to go to. I just end up repeating that same video.
Yeah,
that's really boring. So
I'm gonna actually try to do my first one here tomorrow, as I told you before we started recording. Yeah, like I'm gonna go and check. I'm venturing further than I normally go because of the fact is there's nothing around here, so I have to go further to actually find anything. Hopefully it doesn't end up a complete waste of time, in which case I wouldn't even put up a video. But hopefully I could make something out of it. And another thing, I was talking to Andy a bit today, Andy, who was on our last show, Retro Slasher, and I was checking out his output lately, and I'm like, look, and I was like checking out his subs and stuff, and I was like, Andy's on the come up. Like, he's actually putting effort into his videos. I seen that he did a few intros and stuff that were cool. And he is doing a lot of different things, from like different type of rankings, different type of top 10 videos and stuff. So it seems like he's actually really putting effort in, and I think that is a lot of times what keeps people coming back, is when they see that you're just into it and you're putting a lot of effort or time into something, and you're not just throwing up a video you recorded on your phone, sloppily in one take.
Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, I know what you mean, man. Like, I like watching updates more than those are always fun videos. But when somebody uploads just nonstop updates, it's like, dude, like, holy shit, man. Like, I don't even have time.
Shout out to Turi. he slowed down a little bit, but he was putting them out left and right and left and right.
It was just like blowing my mind. I was like, holy crap, dude. Like, that's excessive, man. It's really nuts. But yeah, man, milestones, 1,000 subs and 5,000. Thank you, everybody, if you're listening, if you guys watch our channels. We appreciate it, man. We really do. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? What can I say?
Milestones are awesome, and like even with this podcast, we're approaching that 100th episode, and
it's coming. It's coming slow, but it is coming quicker now.
Yeah.
Starting to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to young MC that. We're picking up the pace again. This is good. I think we'll get there pretty quick, though.
Yeah,
so
it's something that we love to do is record this show, and over time, I think that we've grown a lot. We've definitely hit our stride, kind of. We slowed down a little bit here, with output and stuff, but we'll pick back up again, and we're constantly seems like getting new people that are like, hey, I'm just started listening to your back catalog, which, by the way, the back catalog has turned into like this mega chore to watch, like to listen to all the episodes. Like I just thought about that today when I subscribed to a new podcast, and I was like, they had like 30 some episodes out, and I was like, I'll breeze through these 30 real quick. And then I was like, wow, I wonder what it's like for somebody to have to breeze through 85 episodes to catch up to us. And these aren't short episodes. These are like plus hours every show. So it's pretty interesting to think that people actually go back and listen to all of them.
Considering, I think, including this episode, which I assume will not be under 2 hours, but I think we only have one show that's like under 2 hours.
It's probably episode 1, huh? Or 2?
No, I don't think. I think it's actually the Untitled one, the one that we never did the main review for. I think JP was in a rush and he had to go watch some UFC. That practical fighting.
I still remember the card. I think it was Johnny Hendricks and GSP, or it was Nick Diaz and GSP.
Holy fuck! I remember the reviews that we didn't do. It was OJ versus Remake,
Maniac,
and it was Maniac, and we never did them.
Yeah, crazy. I mean,
and we always vowed that we would do them, and then we never did.
Yeah,
but which is like the case with many shows that we've kind of back cataloged. It's like I don't know. We're just sitting back there, but
hopefully coming up here, guys, I really want to start doing some bigger shows, like shows that are, not just a featured review or 2 featured reviews. Like I want to start doing.
Especially this episode, it almost feels like a low point because we've been doing a lot of, theme shows and, trilogy, things like that. I mean, we've been kind of keeping pace with that, but this is the first solo featured review we've done in a long time.
It is.
It's very
since Shram, I believe, but even Shram had Dolomite as like a bonus featured review.
Yeah, completely unrelated.
Yeah,
but still kind of cool.
Yeah, and so we're gonna definitely. Come up with some cool ideas here. We had a few opportunities to do some interviews recently, but scheduling is so hard with us guys. It would have been cool, but that's something that I still would. I mean, I know we've been talking about that since like episode 22, but it's something that I definitely would like to do at some point.
The scheduling of interviews is tough. It's really, really, it's tough to do, man. Because we're so limited on times that we can do. But, I think it's going to work out sometime, though. I mean, even Jeremy's been messaging me. I'm sure he's been messaging you, too, about, certain opportunities and things like that. And, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'll materialize somehow. But it'll be nice to actually put something like that into a show and just kind of just mix it up a little bit. Why not?
I recently seen that my old buddy, Boss Butcher he was originally from Terror Troop. I think they still do that podcast, but he started another podcast probably a few years ago now called the Found Footage Files. The podcast completely based on just reviewing one found footage film each week. And that podcast actually took off. It was in like Entertainment Weekly's like 10 podcasts to listen to or some, don't quote me on Entertainment Weekly. It was some bigger website that posted a thing about podcasts, and he was in there with like Adam Green's The Movie Crypt and stuff like that. And I seen recently he just posted an episode that they were doing on the Blair Witch Project with Eduardo Sanchez. So I was like, that would be fucking cool to do something like that,
Nice.
Yeah, so shout out to the Found Footage Files if you've ever listened to them. I'm a few episodes behind by a few, I mean like dozens.
Man, you know when a subgenre like that, like a newer subgenre, takes off when you can do a whole podcast based around the subgenre.
Yeah. It's a great idea too, you know, to cover a specific subgenre of films, and especially one that's so debated like found footage.
Oh, big time. But there really is tons of those films. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you'll never really run out of episodes to do.
Probably not. I mean, we've talked about this many times, but it has slowed down quite drastically. I mean, I've only seen, like, even this year, maybe one or two.
I think there's actually one being made right now called Found Footage 3D.
Found Footage 3D?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we probably talked about it way back in the day on the podcast, but I think it's actually, like, made now.
That's the best name ever. You can't forget it.
Yeah, right.
It just kind of clings to you. What's that movie called? Found Footage 3D. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Found Footage 3D. Yeah. Classic.
Yeah, it's real original. It's awesome.
Yeah, but anyway, the future of the show is looking bright. We're gonna keep at it. Keep coming up with ideas, different shows. I mean, we
keep slowly slipping in ideas.
Oh yeah. But, you know, I like formula as well, but it's always cool to add to the formula. Like, you know, we used to do a lot of the, well, not a lot, but we used to do the viewer's choice. And I mentioned that this year we should do it since we don't have a franchise to review on either Halloween or Christmas this year, because we did the Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I believe for Halloween we did Halloween and Night of the Demons. I don't think there are any other like main franchises for those holidays. No. Maybe we do a viewer's choice Halloween edition where they pick films that are set on Halloween, you know? Yeah, and that's a way to kind of reincorporate the viewer's choice and then also continue our annual events for Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah, I mean the same thing for Christmas time, right?
Yeah, I would even be more interested to do it on Christmas because I still want to do a fucking episode on Trick or Treat one of these days, just because I love that film so much.
Well, I mean, for Halloween viewers' choice, don't you think that would probably come up?
Yeah, it probably would. Honestly, yeah, I didn't even think of that. That would make sense.
I mean, they just kind of look through it and go, "Oh, they haven't reviewed Trick or Treat. Yeah, Trick or Treat. Why not?" Man, there's so many.
Absolutely.
The Christmas one, I'm excited. I'd be excited for. I'm curious. At least we don't have to worry about doing those dreadful Silent Night, Deadly Night sequels.
Yeah. And you know, honestly,
we're past it, man. We're past it.
I mentioned to Moods something like this a little while ago. I'm not going to get into like great detail, but we kind of threw around the idea of having a way where like a listener could actually pick the episode, and that's something that even if we don't do it the way that I mentioned to Moods, it would still be kind of interesting to see like just, you know, one person get a chance to pick the episode, you know, just solely up to them, whatever they fucking wanted.
So did I hear a rumor this week about you?
About me?
Yeah, I think I heard a rumor, man, and it was something that kind of surprised me a little bit.
What was it?
I mean, can you confirm this or, you know, just claim this? I heard that you might be possibly going region free.
Oh yeah, that is true. I did. You know what? You kind of you kind of messed it up though, because like for those of you who don't know, I posted a little post on the group page where I was like, hey, what's the cheapest region-free player? I'm going to go region-free. I got some titles coming in from Australia, and I want to watch them, so I need to get a region-free player. And people commented, and I was actually really surprised at the price of the player that most people seem to go with. It sort of seems like it's the cheapest one. It's only like $135, and I'm like, damn, that's, you know, that's... like I can pay with that from money that I made, you know, side money that I made over the past like year or so that I've just had sort of sitting there. And then Moods messaged me and he's like, you know, what titles did you get or are you getting? And I was like, oh, well, the what is it, Road Games with Jamie Lee Curtis? Yeah. Yeah, that does not have a US release on Blu-ray or even DVD, right?
I think there may have been. I think Anchor Bay actually did release Road Games.
Okay, so but it's out of print though, right?
It's long out of print.
So that's really exciting to get this film coming from Australia. Kind of shed some light on it, and then Moods is like, oh, by the way, that's region free. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm not getting that player now. So you kind of ruined it for me.
But you might as well still get it, man.
I will get it, but I'll wait till I have something to put in it. If this is region free, I mean, I'm not going to buy the player and not have anything to put in it.
Yeah, well, it was kind of funny. I didn't even realize that it was region free, and I grabbed a few movies. I was camping the last couple of days, and before I go to bed, I like to throw on a film just because that's what I do. And so I packed Road Games, and I was like, oh, well, that was fucking stupid. This thing's region B. And of course, my player in my motorhome's just a regular Blu-ray player. So I looked at the back, and it was like ABC, and I'm like, oh shit, it's fucking all region.
Listen, there's some people that don't even have Blu-ray players in their house, and this fool got one in his motorhome.
But it was just funny because I was like, I can't even watch this. And I was like so excited. I'm like, I can totally watch it. It's ABC. So I ended up watching it. So it's kind of cool. But
yeah. Speaking of Road Games, Australian show potentially coming up. That would be a nice title, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have that actually projected as a future episode.
Yeah, but I just wanted to sound like, spontaneous.
I don't even remember the movies. I don't remember the movies that we actually had listed for it, but
one was originally Road Games. I was like, oh, I don't have that, and you're like, oh, okay, then we'll pick something else. But now we could do it again, so
you can definitely do Road Games.
Yeah. So that's something that we'll do in the future. But yeah, I'm still gonna go region free, just not yet because I probably will have some other titles from Australia coming in eventually. So I'll probably need a region free player still.
Yeah, most of their titles seem to be B, but it's the way to go, though, man. It really is.
That was Umbrella Entertainment, correct? That released
Umbrella.
Yeah. There's another company out there that's sort of making waves in Australia called like Via Visual or Via something, and that's the one that released that Psycho box set that had Psycho 1, 2, 3, and 4 on Blu-ray before Scream Factory announced Psycho 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about that company.
Remake, but it definitely has the Bates Motel series movie too.
I think it does have the remake in it.
Okay, so that's like a complete collection of Psycho films, and they've announced some other stuff like some Stephen King sets and things like that.
Or are they the ones that put out that triple feature, Stephen King?
Probably. Which
it's got like Rabbit in the Dead Zone. I think it's the only way to get the Dead Zone on Blu-ray.
Oh, that's that Cronenberg set.
Yeah, the Cronenberg one.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
I think that is them actually. That's kind of cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so they're pretty cool companies so far from what I obviously don't own any releases from them, but hopefully in the future I will. Yeah, they actually put out a Stephen King collection, The Dead Zone, Pet Sematary, Christine, and Sleepwalkers. So that's a
Oh, yeah, they put it. Okay, that's right. In the Cronenberg. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They also released the Mothman Prophecies on Blu-ray.
That's so random.
But they also have a show called, they released Forever Night, season 1, 2, and 3 on DVD. I don't actually know what that is.
I'm not sure I know what that is either.
Yeah, but it's a TV show. Looks like a vampire show or something. Yeah, but they also have the original Piranha released on Blu-ray. They did a couple of the Halloweens. They did an Army of Darkness, and of course that Blu-ray set that Cronenberg set that Moods was talking about, the Rabid, Shivers, and Dead Zone.
That's what it is. Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it looks like they're just sort of making their way through some films. I think they have an Amityville set that they just announced. Just has the first 3, unfortunately. But yeah, it just seems like they're sort of up and coming. I don't think that they have been releasing things for too long.
No. But yeah, Umbrella does really good work, though. Going back to Umbrella, they put out some good stuff. Good transfers, good stuff.
Yeah, I've always heard of Umbrella.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a long time, but they do put out some really good stuff. Like, especially that Night of the Living Dead OG and remake set that they put out there. The original 68 transfer is super sick, man. It's like the best it's ever looked. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, man, it was like really good looking.
Yeah, so
very surprised.
It does seem like more than ever now importing has become a regular of collectors. I know that people have always imported, but it seems like now it's even becoming more of a thing. It's actually gotten a little cheaper over the years. Maybe not for moods, but for us and I mean, you can buy stuff from Arrow's UK site, and get it cheap, during their sales.
Way cheap. It's way cheaper for me to order through the Arrow sale than it is regularly. Same with Australia though. Their dollar is worth shit. So our dollar is actually worth more over there. So it's kind of nice, I don't have to pay that huge conversion rate and shit. And the shipping from Umbrella is really good.
Yeah.
Like for a couple Blu-rays, it was only like $6, $7, something like that.
Oh, you can't beat that.
No, it was really good. I'm like, wow, that's coming pretty far. So I was surprised. So again, it's just the way to go. They got some things that I want, and I'm definitely going to grab them. And honestly, the shipping's pretty quick, I have to say. It's coming just as fast as stuff that I order from the US. So that's good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything else for the intro?
No. We got some news?
Yeah, we do have some news. The first thing up here, not like news because we're not like a video podcast and we can't show it, but the first actual good photo of Pennywise has hit from the It remake. And I thought it was of note because it caused a little bit of a stir. A lot of people were hating on it, and I honestly thought it looked pretty good. What did you think? I know you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't mind it.
Yeah, I was like, what's... I don't, like, he doesn't look ridiculous or anything. Like, I don't understand. Like...
No, I thought it looked okay, man. I didn't really see what the problem was. But then again, if you show a new, like an old classic character kind of updated, people are always going to kind of trip and, hate on it. But, I was just being unbiased. Like, I'm a big fan of the original character, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I mean, for me, it's really going to come down to how it's played.
Yeah, like, this look-wise, they got it. Like, it doesn't look... Like, it looks
I think
good.
The look is fine. Yeah. I mean, if... who's portraying him?
I actually don't know, but I can look that up while you talk.
I do know I can't remember. You know me with names. I'm so bad. But, I think the look is okay. I mean, as long as he puts a good twist on the Pennywise character, I think it might be a hit.
Yeah, it's played by Bill Skarsgård.
That's okay. Yeah, I can't remember those names.
He's from Sweden.
That's right.
See,
but we'll see, man.
My only issue that I have with the way he looks is that he actually looks very young. Like, Pennywise looks young. And then, actually, now that I looked it up, this dude who's playing him is 1 year older than me. So he's 26 years old, and I didn't actually know that. So that's why he looks young. And how old was... I'm sure Tim Curry had to be older than 26 when he played it.
Oh, he definitely was older than that.
So that's kind of weird. That's the only thing that I might have an issue with.
Tim Curry had to have been like at least 40 when he was playing, maybe even older when he was playing that. But yeah, man, we'll see. I mean, maybe this is one of those cases where, Dark Knight and they announced that Heath Ledger's playing the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, huh? Like,
and people are going, really? Heath Ledger, that guy that plays on all those shitty romantic comedies?
Yeah.
And then he fucking kills the role, like, so good.
It could be a situation like that. And maybe that is a good idea to go to distance yourself from the original Pennywise by making him younger so that
this is what I like about... This is why I'm always such a big fan of casting people that are pretty unknown. Because for myself, who kind of looks at it in a practical way, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance. If you cast somebody that's really well known, it's kind of hard to be, to kind of accept that. If you were to cast I don't know, some well-known actor and they're like, okay, fuck, Johnny Depp. If it was Johnny Depp, you're like, okay, whatever. But I like this idea of not knowing how this is going to go. This can go really good or really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
it's kind of exciting for me. And it was exactly how the Heath Ledger thing was. I was like, well, I've seen a couple of his shitty movies, but I didn't really know much about the guy, to be honest. But then he just kills the role, and it was just like, holy fuck, man. You kind of go in with these low expectations, and then you're pleasantly surprised at the end. So, like I said, going back to somebody like Johnny Depp, you probably go in with really, really high expectations, and then you get like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake.
Yeah.
That sucked. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I like this, man. I think, honestly, this might turn out pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a few benefits of this It remake, And the one benefit is it's theatrical, which means it's not a TV movie, which means that you can actually do more violence and gore. Which if there's one reason to remake the film, that would be it, right? Because you can get more. Oh, there's actually a difference. A lot of people say, like, why remake something? Why remake something that was already done? Well, yeah, it was already done, but it wasn't already done like this in movie format. So that actually is like a okay reason to remake something. And also, I think it's going to come down to exactly what you said earlier. You said that the performance. And I think that the moment that Pennywise speaks will determine whether or not we're down for the ride with this new version of it.
I think so too, man. Yep. And I hope that they make this movie not like overly dark, but like dark. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope it's like really atmospheric and dark. I don't know. I can see this movie.
I hope so too.
Really good. I hope that they don't try to go a little silly with it, in aspects and things. But I do know one thing. I am going to miss my boy, John Ritter, in this film, because I was such a big fan of John Ritter. But when I think of it, it's funny. I obviously think of Pennywise, but I think of John Ritter too.
Yeah.
I always liked him. I always liked the guy.
So, speaking of known faces, Kevin Bacon expresses interest in playing Freddy Krueger.
I know, man.
This is some sort of news that's non-news, by the way.
This fucking guy, man, has been making we were talking about Kevin Bacon, I think, during the Tremor show, and how he was possibly showing interest in coming back and doing like another movie and things like that. And I'm just like, wow, he got his roots in the horror films, and now he's kind of coming full circle getting into them. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but this is what I hate about the internet sometimes, is that one thing happens and then all of a sudden you have like reports that say Kevin Bacon to play Freddy Krueger, or like Kevin Bacon wants to play Freddy Krueger. And that's not what happened. Okay,
oh no, he probably definitely didn't. But I'm just kind of rolling with the idea. This probably never happened.
Yeah, and no. I'll tell you exactly what happened here.
But I was just having fun with it. I was just having fun because Kevin Bacon can play a really good bad guy, like kind of a dick character.
Yeah, so I was going to interesting to talk about what if he did in a second. But first, let's actually get the actual news out of the way.
Yeah, but even though it wouldn't be my very, me with, big names playing like these classic characters and things like that, but it'd be just fun to see him do this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So what actually had happened was somebody on Twitter, who's just a regular person, tweeted at Kevin Bacon and said, if A Nightmare on Elm Street gets rebooted again, can we please somehow get Kevin Bacon as Freddy? I think he'd be fantastic. And then Kevin Bacon replied with, I like the way you think, Betty. So, literally all he did was just say, oh, I like where your head's at. That doesn't
But Kevin
mean
Bacon knows what he had done, too, though. He knows, he's like, oh, this is going to blow the fuck up.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know if he really would care that much, He's so big. Not. What does he care what, the horror world thinks?
But even for him to reply to something like that, it shows semi-interest. Not maybe the idea of actually playing Freddy, but just the idea of Kevin Bacon possibly being in another horror film. Because, like I said, he showed interest in, even doing a Tremors film.
Well, I mean, he recently did that horror TV show. I forget what the name of it was, but, that Kevin Williamson written horror show that was out there. I forget what it's called. Mm-hmm. It's now...
I mean, he's dabbled in all over the place. I guess Hollow Man and shit like that. I mean, he's done dark films, but I don't know, man.
It was called The Following.
That's right, yeah. But I just think it was cool that he actually even responded to that. Because generally, a lot of these
recently
he would do that.
I believe he was on a talk show or a late night show, and they played a clip from his Friday the 13th, and he kind of talked about it a bit. I do appreciate that he is, content with his horror roots and doesn't mind doing horror.
That he doesn't ignore that shit, He's
Yeah.
like, some people, that was one thing about, I always said about Jamie Lee Curtis that always annoyed me, is that she, started her career in horror films, did 4 or 5 films there in the early 80s, and then got out of them and then just kind of forgot about it.
Well, she didn't forget about it. She actually said that she didn't like it and she doesn't support it. But then later in life, I believe,
but then she
25.
Well, when she was showing, when she was showing that there's this huge community that love her films and people gather in these conventions and shit like that, she's like, it changed her perspective. Like, she even says that in that documentary. She's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
She's like, I think it's so cool, and it kind of changed my mind a little bit. I'm like, this is really interesting.
The documentary that Moods is referring to is, I believe, the night that she came home from the 35th anniversary Blu-ray release of Halloween, which I have talked about on the show before.
Which there's numerous YouTubers in that video too.
Mm-hmm. There is.
In there. Yeah, there's lots of them there. It's pretty cool. So.
But yeah, so at the end of the day, this does not mean Kevin Bacon is playing Freddy or that he's even remotely close to being cast.
Just having fun with the idea.
Yeah, but you know, I just have to say that like, I hate how stories turn out though, because like it was all over the internet, like falsely in a weird way. And just, you know, to let people know that it's not anything that's happening. But, you know, she literally said, like, I think he'd be fantastic. I mean, what he's saying could also just be like, I like the way you think, that you think I'm fantastic and stuff. But, you know, obviously he knows that it's attached to Freddy, and he probably would show legitimate interest in playing that character. It just doesn't mean that it's happening. You know, as we last heard, the Nightmare on Elm Street is supposed to be rebooted again, whatever that means. Who knows? We'll find out in the future. One of
those 12 words.
Yeah. And I believe David Johnson from The Conjuring 2 and Orphan was attached to write the screenplay. Both good movies, by the way, Conjuring 2 and Orphan. So we'll see what happens with that. I wouldn't know. Plays Freddy Krueger or not? That's probably way far in the future date.
What is that? Just a jab at me because I can't ever see Conjuring 2? I bet you I'd buy the fucking Blu-ray when it comes out, and the shit freezes up on me, won't even play.
Probably.
Shit.
Yeah. After that, we had a little bit of a announcement from last week that Terror Toons 3 is happening. And Herschel Gordon-Lewis is starring in it.
It's so awesome. Terror Toons 3? How the fuck did they even make the first one? Man, it's crazy there's going to be 3 of those. It's currently, there's a trailer out, so it's already made. And yeah, That's awesome that Herschel Gordon-Lewis is starring in it, though. That's cool, man.
Well, starring in it, cameo.
Starring is very.
I probably
just kind of scribbled in there. It's not even written in solid bold letters.
I kind of think that it's going to be more of like a
maybe just an extended cameo.
Yeah.
Like he shows up in a few scenes here and there.
I actually haven't seen either Terror Toons.
Oh my god, the first Terror Toons film is so funny. it's dude, you would hate it. You would absolutely hate that movie for sure.
Probably.
I know the angered beast. He changed his name recently. What did he change his name to? Vanilla Gorilla Beast, remember? And then changed it to the Angered Beast Reviewer or something like that. I know he did one of those fucking long funny reviews on Terror Toons. It's pretty funny. It's pretty good shit. So yeah. That's bugging me. See, there I go with my names again. I can't remember fucking names for the life of me.
I know who you're talking about, but I didn't see that.
Just like, anyways, that guy, you know that guy. He swears a lot. He swears just as much as me. So
the poster came out for Death House.
We got more news?
Yeah, the poster came out for Death House, and Death House is a movie that got a little bit of a internet, viral effect, kind of, when it was announced. I mean, it's been announced for a while now, but it was being held as the Expendables of horror, so that kind of got people excited. And it was actually based on a script written by Gunnar Hansen. And I recently listened to a podcast, forget the name of it, maybe like Postmortem or something like that. It's actually on the Horophilia Network. One of the hosts is Christian from Exploding Heads. Mm-hmm. And they interviewed Felissa Rose. And of course, Felissa Rose was producing this film, I believe, or part of the production company, because I believe a while ago she joined a production company or started a production company or something like that. And I believe she was somehow attached to this film, either producing, I think she's in it as well, like in a small cameo or whatever. But this film was written by Gunnar Hansen, actually, before he passed away. And he was really, she's mentioned that he was really excited about this project. So, That's pretty cool that it's actually living on and it's been made now, and it should be coming out here sooner or later. But it's a pretty interesting poster because it lists off all the people who were involved in it. The film follows 2 federal agents fight their way through 9 levels of hell inside a secret prison known as Death House. A facility-wide prison break turns their fight into a tour of horrors as they push toward the ultimate evil housed in the lowest depths of the earth. So this sounds kind of cool, but let me just list off some of the names. You have,
who's in this?
You have Vincent Ward, you have Vernon Wells, Dee Wallace, Tony Todd, Richard Spate, Felissa Rose, Bill Oberst Jr., Bill Mosley, R.A. Minahalif, Camille Keaton, Lloyd Kaufman, Kane Hodder, Lindsay Hartley, Gunnar Hansen, Sid Haig, Barbara Crampton, Michael Berryman, Adrienne Barbeau, Courtney Palm, and Cody Longo.
Jesus. When you said R.A., I thought you were going to say R.A. the Rugged Man.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, but...
Well, that's a pretty good list of people right there.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did they have Gunnar... did they start filming this before he passed away?
I believe it has been filming for a while. I don't know if he's actually in it, but he's on the poster, which maybe because he wrote it. I don't know if he's actually like in it. You know, but it sounds pretty cool. Like I could see totally like Kane, like almost like a video game, like bosses and shit. Like just this a crazy fucking murder house or whatever they called it, death house, and each level was like crazy lunatics, And like
it's got to be so hard to kind of direct and edit one of those films with so many big names, because you kind of want to get them in there in the right aspects of the film and not feel like you're just forcing the faces into the screen. Like I think that it's just, I don't know. I like the idea of this, but I feel like it just could get to be like a mumbled, jumbled
it probably
disaster
will be, because it's probably not a serious movie. You know what I mean? It's probably like a wink, wink, nod, nod to horror fans. And I don't like movies like that, if I'm being 100% honest. But, if there's this many fucking people in it, of course I'm going to watch it. You know what the original Expendables of horror film was, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about this.
In my opinion, it was Wishmaster.
Oh, okay.
Remember how many familiar faces was in Wishmaster?
Yeah. Yeah, that had a lot of faces in there.
Yeah, I'm just pissed that they don't got Warwick Davis in this bitch. Warwick Davis never gets any love when it comes to freaking Masters of Horror.
He really doesn't, does he?
No.
Shit. You know what? I mean, they got a lot of really, really big names in there. But, I mean, they could have, I guess, maybe a few more well-known indie people. Like, it'd be nice to see someone like Tiffany Shep is in there. I don't know if you named her off, but...
No, but Debbie Rochon was there.
Yeah, that's interesting that Tiffany Shep has never made the cut on there.
Well, maybe she was offered and she couldn't do it, or, you never know.
Could be.
But one thing that...
But, I mean, I can't imagine anybody would be on the set for more than 4 hours recording their parts for this.
Yeah. I mean, I wish that there was, like... So, I mean, there are a lot of names, but there's a lot of names that are not the biggest of the big. Like, there are the big names, but there's a lot of names missing, too. There's a lot of filler names that are not huge horror stars, like Cody Longo. Like, who is that? Do you know who that is?
Well, I'm bad with names, man.
Okay, well, I believe he is from Piranha 3D. Like, that was his big film, so...
Piranha 3D. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So another thing that worries me a little bit about this film is it's directed by B. Harrison Smith, who directed films like Camp Dread, Zombie Killers, Elephant Graveyard, and The Fields, as well as honestly like one of the worst movies I've seen in recent times, and that's 6 Degrees of Hell. That movie was terrible.
Oh, he directed that?
Yeah. So that's a little worrisome.
Oh, man. Fucking Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Awful.
Man, Corey Feldman's done a lot of bad horror films. Oof.
Yeah, but you know what, man? I remember an interview with Corey Feldman before 6 Degrees came out, and he said something along the lines of, like, it's going to be the scariest movie of the year. And it was literally, like, one of the worst pieces of crap. Like, it was the worst film I saw that year, I think, 2012, I believe.
Oh, shit, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like these type of projects always sound super good, man. It's kind of like the whole idea of the ABCs of death. It sounds really good on paper, and then you watch it and it's pretty average to below average.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I see happening with this one, honestly. But I'm not gonna completely crap on it. You know, it's probably gonna be a fun movie at least. So
yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean. As long as it's not like straight up comedy, fuck.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna be. That's the problem. It's definitely gonna be because nobody can make a serious horror film when you have that many people involved in it for some reason. Seriously. I could not see any way that this is a serious horror movie.
Yeah.
It's gonna be played for shtick.
Do they have any type of storyline there? Or like...
Yeah, explain it to you. I remember I read it out. It was like, two FBI agents go to like a house and there's murder.
Yeah. I completely already forgot. That's how memorable it was.
I thought it was an alright story, but it seems like a video game, you know?
Yeah. Holy God, man, I'm losing my fucking mind here.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next little bit of news here. We got the CW has potentially landed The Lost Boys for a series adaptation, written by, I believe. Who wrote
what a surprise.
Yeah.
The Lost Boys. I guess that was next in line, right?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it was literally talked
about
before this big boom of TV, you know?
Oh, for sure. But, I mean, they just got to take advantage of the vampires, right? I mean, there's so many vampire shows.
Yeah.
They need another one.
Yeah. Yeah. This is crazy, though. It says they're reimagines The Lost Boys for TV, envisioned for a 7-season run. What? How are you that ahead of the game where you think you're going to make it 7 seasons? Jesus Christ. It will tell a story spanning 70 years, each season chronicling a decade. That's actually a cool idea right there, honestly. Season 1 will be set in San Francisco during the Summer of Love, 1967.
So, what do you mean? So, if there's 10 episodes in a season, really? It's going to cover a whole decade in one season. So every episode's like a year?
No, it's gonna... Moods, keep up, man. It's each season will focus on a decade. That doesn't mean that they're gonna go through a whole fucking decade in a year. It's just like it'll be in the 60s. The first season's in the 60s. Second season's in the 70s. Third season's in the 80s. Fourth season's in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, if you have season 1 and it's all in the 60s, okay, I guess. So they just set it in the certain time. I thought it was going to be like through the whole fucking decade.
No.
You know, in like an actual storyline, but still, I mean, yeah, I guess, whatever. But you got to really kind of push that story along, though.
I mean, not really. I mean, the first season,
because wouldn't you want to have it like? Would you want to set it, just in 1 year in the 60s, and in the next season it's all set in the 70s? Say if you set in like 64,
like 10 years later.
Yeah, so I guess. But
you got to realize, dude, you got to think like as you're the creator of this show, right? So the first season's set in the 60s, right? You follow a vampire who is, has some sort of, storyline in that thing. And you wrap it up by the end of the season, like you do with any show. And then the next season is set in the 70s. And then it's all new characters because everybody's dead or it's in a new place
that's the part.
Whatever.
That's the part I didn't know. I didn't realize there was going to be new characters. So I was saying if this was continuing
they're not
story,
saying that it is new characters, but you have to think like that's what they're going to do because it's a season. Every season of a show has new characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, for the most part.
Well, there's always going to be characters that carry over, but name a season of a show that doesn't introduce new characters.
No, but not all the characters.
I'm not saying all the characters. I'm just saying new characters, new storylines in season 2. That's how most shows work. And then you got to think of the way that it makes sense because vampires don't age. So by the time you're in like 2017, he's still the same age.
Well, that's the only way that it works. But exactly. And that's the only way that it actually works. So if you're going to have, this show start in like 1961 and then all of a sudden it's in 1970. I mean, the characters don't age anyway, so what does it fucking matter if you're covering 9 years in the first season? If you want to lead up, because there's going to be some characters that are going to carry over from the 60s into the 70s. So technically, I mean, there's still a time span there. You know what I'm saying? But with vampires, they don't age. It doesn't even fucking matter.
Yeah, that's why I think it actually doesn't.
I think it only works. I think it only works with vampires. But I'm just saying though, like I said, if they set it in 62 and next season is starting in 1972, I mean, you still got to kind of show a timeline within the show. So you're like covering a lot of ground in years, technically in like 10 episodes, 12 episodes.
I mean,
it's an interesting premise, but I mean, I like
cover any timeline. The whole first season can be set in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, at the end, whatever big drama thing wraps up, and then it's like the next season comes about, and it's like the guy's 10 years older. Maybe he's not in San Francisco anymore. And he meets all these new characters, and maybe some characters come with him. It's, and it's a whole new storyline. Think of Dexter, right? Each season was its own storyline. Each season has its own villain. It's all wrapped up by the end of the season.
I know, but it was almost set in like, at least it was set in that normal timeline. Dexter was, he was just 6 months older.
Would it be any different if he wasn't? If it was
well, I guess it's based on the world it's set though, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think it doesn't sound too bad, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see them setting an entire season within like a month period or something. I think they are going to cover ground within that decade.
I would bet that they don't. I bet they, I mean, maybe like any show.
It's just more of the fact to like put in like real events that happen in those times. Say if you start in the 60s, say in 1961, and then they kind of throw in, say, just by chance they had like the JFK assassination and certain other or things that happen, just into this, not like into the main story, but it's just there to show you the time that this is really set in.
Okay, well, what I should have done was read
the viewer. You got to give the viewer some type of something to be like, oh, that is the 60s.
Yeah,
totally,
well,
man.
obviously, they're going to be dressed like they're in the 60s. The music's going to be like they're in the 60s. But I'm talking about
real events. So if you have something that starts in the early 60s and then something in the later 60s, just to have that time period. So it's still going to cover a lot of ground. That's all I'm saying. Which would be cool.
I don't think they're going to cover ground within the decade. And the reason that I say that is I should have read this before we started debating this, but it says each season, the humans, the setting, and the antagonists and story all change. Only the vampires are lost boys who, like the Peter Pan characters, never grow up and they remain the same. So it does seem like it's going to be like, okay, the first season, it's a story arc, and it just so happens to be set in the 60s. 1967 to be exact. And the next season will be 1977, and all the people around them will be different. Only the vampires will be the same. Mm-hmm. And the setting, meaning the first one's set in San Francisco, the second one might be set in fucking Alaska. You know what I mean? So
with those same and it works because they don't age. Yeah. So that's pretty.
That's
cool.
not the worst idea for a TV show, and I think that this American Horror Story style setup is seeming to carry over to other shows now. Where it's like each season is their own thing.
Because I think it's easier to do, man.
Yeah, and it's actually better. It's actually better in a certain way because you don't jump the shark ever because you're creating a new fucking storyline every season. Mm-hmm. And that's, and they sort of always done that in a way. Like Dexter's the perfect example. Each season was its own story arc. There's not much carryover.
No. I mean, just certain subplots and stuff, right? With family and, of course, his job and things like that. But the arc always changed. But I mean, it's entertainment value. I mean, people like change. I mean, it's just our world in general, right? I mean, everyone has ADD of some sort. So if you're constantly changing, it kind of keeps your focus there, right?
Yeah. So. And I honestly like the idea of each season being a period piece.
Yeah, man, I like that idea too. I think it's kind of cool that they're going to set it in the 60s to start and not like way back in I guess those period pieces are really expensive to do though.
You figure if they're really going with this 7-season run, you have 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, which by the time it got there, we'd actually be in the 2020s. So.
Oh yeah, fuck! They really thought this out, didn't they?
Yeah,
that's impressive.
So I mean, It doesn't sound bad, but the last TV show that the CW announced, the last couple, I believe the Tales from the Dark Side reboot, that didn't get picked up. The Friday the 13th show, that didn't end up happening. So, like, the CW is not great for actually going through what these things once they announce them.
That is true.
It is true. After that, we have another little bit of information here on Adam Green and Joe Lynch's The Movie Crypt podcast. We had a interview with Jeff Katz, who I didn't listen to this episode, but thanks to dreadcentral.com, they kind of basically gave us all the information from the episode. I'm many episodes behind on The Movie Crypt, but fantastic podcast, by the way. Jeff Katz is intending on remaking the Sleepaway Camp film, the original, with producers Felissa Rose and the original director Robert Hiltzik. They're all going to produce this Sleepaway Camp film. It actually was announced a while ago, actually a couple years ago, 2013 to be exact, where they picked up the rights to this film. And basically, the things that they actually mentioned in talking to Joe Lynch and Adam Green is that the reboot is actually more of a sequel and not so much a remake. It's just kind of it's going to probably be called.
Well, let's face it. When you put the word remake with in the same sentence as Sleepaway Camp, it just becomes a laugh, really, because I mean, there's no shock value. I mean, if you were to just fully remake that film, it'd be ridiculous. But I think that would be the perfect time to use the word recalibration.
You know how you create a shocking ending in a remake of Sleepaway Camp?
How's that?
The final shot, instead of having a penis, she has a vagina. Because you'd be shocked. You'd be like, oh shit, I thought she was going to have a dick again. But she had a vagina this time.
We were laughing about that before.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
So this actually kind of sounds honestly pretty cool. So the film will pick up in present day, and Angela has been locked away in Smith's Grove Sanitarium. People of Halloween, of course, would know what the hell that is. She eventually escapes and seeking refuge at Camp Arawak. The plan is for Felissa Rose to reprise the iconic role. You resolve her character while setting up the events of a new movie, which are all tied directly to her and in a way which allow you to honor the original but spin off an entirely new direction. Suggesting that the film would serve as both a direct sequel and a fresh reboot.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, actually, there was another article I read that kind of
that's interesting.
Explained a little bit more, and apparently there was going to be a nod to like the Elm Street, Elm Street films, because I believe Jeff Katz had something to do with producing, I think, Freddy vs. Jason. So there was going to be a reference to Weston Hills, which was, of course, the sanitarium from Elm Street, or Freddy vs. Jason, I believe. And I'm not sure if it was called that in Elm Street 3 or not. That would have been cool if it was, though, when they made Freddy vs. Jason, if they had a reference to that. So, like if it was the same place, because that would make sense, actually. But anyway, they probably didn't think that through. And yeah, so this sounds cool to me. Like, I'm down with this. Like, this sounds neat.
It does sound cool, actually.
So I guess what they're doing is they're trying to get production, like I guess money. So they're like shopping it still. Still seems like it's in development hell, but maybe eventually, especially if the news gets big, since this news came out and the Movie Crypt is a huge podcast. If people get talking about it again, then obviously producers will listen and be like, oh, like people were talking about that Sleepaway Camp shit. Let's pay for this remake. So yeah, after that, Mark Duplass teases Creep 2. He said pre-production has begun.
On Creep 2?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's going to go fuck with someone else?
What's that?
So he's going to go and fuck with someone else then?
The creep guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. That movie was creepy as fuck. Like, I'm not...
Dude, I love that movie, man. I thought the performances were excellent.
Definitely a sleeper hit from last year. Like, some people had it on their top 10, not me actually, but it was very worthy of being on a top 10.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was good. I love the ending. The ending was fantastic.
Yeah. So after that, we have Inside. The remake is going to premiere at Sitges, which is the 49th International Fantastic Film Festival of Catalonia, which is taking place from October 7th to October 16th. So yeah, the Inside remake coming out.
Wow, that's a long festival. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like 9 days? Wow.
After that, finally, we have CBS is re-releasing the Twilight Zone, the complete series on DVD. Which I'm actually excited about.
Is it not Blu-ray?
It's not Blu-ray.
They're re-releasing on DVD?
Yeah.
Just DVD?
Yes.
So strange.
Well, that's because CBS didn't release the Twilight Zone, right? Like, it was somebody else who... So, like, they must have got... Like, it was somebody else, right? That released the Blu-rays?
Yeah, it was Image.
Okay, so they must have lost the rights.
Image released the DVD. Yeah, Image released the DVDs and the Blu-rays too. Yeah. So that's interesting.
So they must have lost the rights, and so honestly, those will probably go out of print now. Just saying.
Well, aren't they reissuing the Friday the 13th series too?
Yeah, CBS is.
So and then is there something else? Oh no, I guess we already covered the Tales. Jesus, man.
So maybe CBS has got the rights to a few of these TV shows, and they're re-releasing them. I don't know what the price point is on the Twilight Zone set yet, because I can't find it on Amazon. I can only find the old sets, the definitive collection, and then that one that was released without special features. Which is those are about $130 and $103, which they'll probably go out of print now. So if you would rather have the definitive collection, it's about $130 right now. It's probably better to grab that. But this set right here does not have special features.
Shit.
But no price point yet. CBS's press releases are weird as hell because they don't really say much. Like they only like it's like 2 sentences. You know?
They keep you guessing, man.
Okay, so it looks like right now the Friday the 13th, the complete series, that set will be $34.67, and it gets released September 6th. So
34? Wow.
And it looks like the complete series of the Tales from the Dark Side is actually really cheap. It's only $26.43.
They must be stacking those things.
Stacking them?
Yeah.
What's that mean?
You know, they're not like they're all kind of in a stack, like the discs. You know, they don't have like their individual holders.
I don't know, because the set.
You've seen box sets, because it seems like every time you come across one of those really cheap sets, they like the reissues, like a TV series and season like that, or TV shows. Yeah, if you get those big thick ones or whatever, they're just kind of stacked in there. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Well,
man?
I'm gonna be honest. Like this set does look kind of thick for Friday the 13th.
I bet you it's one of those stackers. I don't know, man. I know I think I have like the Married to Children one, and like the discs are just
those are Echo Bridge though. Like that's like the cheapest company out there, you know.
Oh, big time.
But I actually like the new style of packaging. Like I'm down with the slim shit now. Like I really am. Like I ain't got space for that thick shit.
No, nobody does.
You definitely don't.
No.
But yeah, so we'll see what's up with that. You know, CBS re-releasing the Twilight Zone. 156 episodes, all 5 seasons. I'm hoping I get one of these, honestly, because if not, I'm gonna have to buy it, because I've been wanting to buy the Twilight Zone forever. Hopefully the price is a little lower. You know, typically what happens when they do, like you say, stack it, the price does come down, like, significantly. Like, you can get the entire, that all Married with Children thing you're talking about, like, the entire set's like $30, you know, for every season.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they're gonna be more like that, then I'm down. And that's the news.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. I know I think it might have been the Twilight Zone, the 80s show. Yeah, it was. The packaging on that box set was horrible. It was fucking terrible. And I believe that there was 13 discs, and I believe that they were stacked in there or something like that. So what I did is I went out and bought, just the regular DVD jewel cases, or the regular keep cases, whatever, that hold 6 discs, like kind of like the flipper things and stuff. And I bought 2 of those, and I put the discs in there, and the 13 disc I just put into just like a paper wrapper thing, and they fit into the box set perfectly. Like 2 14 millimeter DVD cases
That's
fit
cool.
right into the box set, so it was just it worked out perfectly. And so I showed a few people that, and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, man. That's fucking awesome. So, if your box set allows you to put those in there, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You improvise.
Listen, one of the worst DVD packagings I ever bought was for Roseanne season 1. And it was, I believe that was Mill Creek Entertainment released that. And basically it was like a keep case. And on the inside of the keep case, the 3 discs were in paper sleeves. And there was like a hollowed out square that the sleeves like sat in. That's
what they did on. That's what they did on all those things.
And Sanford and Son. That was another one. I actually don't own that, but I've seen many videos talking about it. Where it's just like 30 some discs or something are just stacked on top of each other in like the cheapest plastic ever.
Yeah, like that fucking Married to Children one I have. It's basically, like when you'd buy like a 50 stack of, CDs or DVDs or whatever, in those plastic kind of stand-up cases or whatever. That's exactly how the package was, with a box around it.
Yeah.
It was funny because they were just
that though, man. That price is good for that. I want that. By the way.
They weren't even in the paper sleeves. They were just stacked on top of each other, and then the top had like this little tight piece of cardboard that was keeping them from like moving around. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. It's just so cheap. But I mean, you can't beat it, like the whole 10 or 11 season run for $20.
Yeah.
Or some shit.
Yeah, that's a show that I barely watched when I was growing up, but I caught a few episodes like here and there, like in my adult life, and I really was like, oh dude, I'm totally gonna buy this show one day, like all the seasons, because
it actually is pretty fun.
I'm a sucker for sitcoms in general. Like I only collect horror and TV shows. Like I said that in a recent video. Like I like TV shows. I'm a huge fan of like owning TV shows, especially if they're horror.
Exactly. And well, nowadays, man, they're just breaking your bank. There's so many of them. Yeah, speaking of TV shows, I guess we'll get into the DVD and Blu-ray releases for August 23rd, 2016. First up here is a TV show, and it is Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 1, finally making its way to Blu-ray, and it's released by Stars, which is, of course, Anchor Bay. Yeah, you once had a podcast.
Yep.
That was
covered the entire
all based
run.
on this. Yeah, the entire first season, so that was pretty cool. So I still haven't seen it. I'm probably going to grab this. Hopefully they have it on DVD.
You know what, dude? During the show, like, they were fun episodes. Like, we'd record the podcast after, watch an episode, record the podcast. And it was like, like at the time when we was recording, like, I think like we wanted to like the show, but the more I've sat and thought about it, like after viewing it, and sort of even on our last episode where we gave our like final opinions on the show, I'm kind of down on it. Like it was not too impressive. Like it was all right.
Mm-hmm.
It was just all right, honestly.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's like very disappointing.
Yeah.
I heard from a lot of people that they, for the most part, the consensus was it was pretty good. But I was always kind of skeptical on it from the start.
Pretty good, but it seems like every episode is like rushed, and they didn't really add anything to the mythology like that much. And
really,
honestly, like the mythology or it's more Army of Darkness than Evil Dead, 100%. Mm-hmm. It's all about the comedy, and it almost feels. You know what it feels like? It feels like
that was what I was kind of getting.
Slash like, what was that other one that I can't remember? But like, it has like that Zombieland vibe.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of figuring they were going to do something like that. I mean, if you kind of went with the original Evil Dead, where it was supposed to be, a horror film, I don't think it would work as well.
Maybe.
For rating wise and things like that. I think people want that little bit of comedy in there, but sometimes it's just, it is what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Army of Darkness, but yeah. It is what it is. It's too bad that they didn't extend the mythology and stuff and kind of go deeper into it. That would have been really cool, because I think there's a lot of areas that you can explore big time.
It's not only that they didn't really go into the mythology; it's like they kind of changed the mythology a little bit. Like it's like
they even changed it.
Well, not changed the mythology, but they just added. They just like it doesn't feel 100% like the same thing we've always been dealing with the Book of the Dead. Like it feels like they added a lot of different types of things that never felt like they existed in the old stuff.
So they are signed on for a season 2, right?
Yeah, it's already filmed, I think, or it's filming.
Okay,
so I believe an October release. Oh,
okay, I see. Okay, so yeah, that's Ash vs. Evil Dead on Blu-ray coming out here this Tuesday. Next up here from Arrow, we've got The Bloodstained Butterfly, and this is one I've been really, really stoked to see. I've never seen this one, and I heard it's really good.
Just got it in the mail today.
Oh, fuck, you're so goddamn lucky. So fucking lucky. Well, I guess I'll wait. I'll probably get it next year when it goes on sale for $7.99.
What is it? I don't know anything about it.
It's a Giallo, man.
Oh, is it? Giallo. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was
this one right here, man, I've known about it. This is cool. This is a very cool release for Arrow. So, next up here from Artsploitation Films, we have Debunker is dropping this Tuesday. I kind of accidentally caught the tail end of this trailer. I popped the movie in that we're reviewing on the main feature tonight, the main review, and I went to the bathroom and it came out, and I just caught the final 10 seconds of the trailer for this film, and I started laughing. So that's always a good sign, I guess.
Yeah, this one actually has a lot of good reviews, honestly.
Yeah, it does look pretty quirky, actually.
I actually wish I would have looked at the number on what number that is, because wasn't Debunker one of the original films released by Filmrise? Or was it not?
I don't think so. But this one was also announced a long time ago, too. Remember, it took forever to come out?
Yeah, but a lot of the ones that were announced a long time ago ended up coming out from Filmrise, remember?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I bet you this one is in the 20s. I bet you this is one of the higher 20 numbers. Well, what's with that Observance? It was like 43B or something like that? What the hell is that?
It wasn't 43B. It was just like 43.
I thought it said B on the side, and I was like, what the fuck does 43B mean? That's so strange.
Actually,
but yeah, that was...
I did actually find out what they're from. And
what's that?
It's because the original films released under Filmrise, which, by the way, Debunker was not one of them, were also that were considered part of the line. So all those Filmrise titles are part of the line. So they skipped into the 40s with Observance. And
so we're going to get a bunch of films we don't even know about.
Wait, what?
So we're going to get a bunch of films here to fill in the gaps that we don't even know of yet.
Those films released by Filmrise are the 20s and 30s.
Oh, but really?
Yeah. But they weren't numbered.
Oh,
but they count.
I see what you're saying. Oh, shit. And I don't even remember what the fuck they were either.
It was Keepin' Rosie, The Sect, Bunny the Killer Thing, Female Werewolf, Blue Family, If He Hollers, Death at Buenos Aires, The Dream Children, German Angst, Toro Loco, Bloodthirsty, Three Beauties, Perfect Obedience, and The Wicked Woods, which was 28 to 40.
Shit.
Yeah. I reached out to their PR agent, or actually in my review, when it got tweeted out, they watched my review and they're like, oh, by the way, because in my review of Perfect Husband, I was like, why is Perfect Husband like numbered like 40 something? And the last one was like 27 or something like that. And they tweeted to me and they were like, oh, the reason that they were released under the 40s is because all the titles that came out in Filmrise were 28 through 40, and I was like, yeah, but they weren't numbered. And he's like, oh, let me actually check into that. And I guess they keep it though, so that sucks because I ain't buying all those expensive Filmrise DVD-Rs, and now it's gonna look stupid on the shelf with all these like random missing numbers.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I told him, I was like, listen, what you guys should do is just keep the titles that you have in the 40s, keep the titles that you have in the 20s, and then any new film that you get, just fill those in the but extra numbers. You know what I mean? Just start with 28 and put those as the missing numbers.
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah, but I doubt they're going to do that. So
you got to literally fill in the gaps for, us OCD people.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, that's their bunker. Can't wait to actually check that one out. Looks pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Next up here,
also
of course,
from mail today.
Jesus fucking Christ. Next up here from Film Rise, which you probably got this one in the fucking mail too, is Lake Erie.
No, I don't get Film Rise.
Honestly, I can't stand the way these things. They just look so damn cheap every time you just know they're Film Rise because they have this like huge
Blu-ray edition. Banner. It looks like something out of
banner at the top.
You know what it looks like? You remember back in the day when like DVDs?
It looks like from 2007, the first editions of Blu-ray. It's like the Blu-ray edition.
No, you know what it looks like, dude? Think back to like the early 2000s, like 2001, 2002, and you would go into like a Walmart or a Dollar General or something, and they had that little section of all the public domain movies that were in those slim cases that were like DVD, and you're like, oh shit, DVDs for $1? This is crazy. And they're like the worst transfers put out by like companies that picked up these public domain films. That's what those remind me of.
So true. This film, Lake Erie, it has Lance Hendrickson in it, so that's cool, I guess.
Lance the Man Hendrickson.
So I don't really know. Next up, here's another TV show, and it's called Lucifer.
Don't
know anything about this one?
Never even heard of it.
I know, that's what I said. I was like, Lucifer? What the fuck? Where did this come from? That's so crazy. Then there could be like, complete TV shows, already on DVD and Blu-ray that we've never even heard of that are in the horror realm. Yep. Released by Warner.
Yep. Never heard of it.
Fucking Warner. Crazy. Next up here from Scream Factory is Psycho 4: The Beginning.
Yeah. I'll actually grab
I'm excited for this one. I actually did order this one. And I did actually skip a bunch of Scream Factory releases this month, so yeah.
Yep.
Like we already talked about this, run's done, but yeah, I had to grab this one because it's Psycho 4 and it's Psycho, man. One of my favorite franchises. Psycho. I'm really curious to see the transfer on this. I hope it's good. Continuing along here, we have the second season of The Strain. Lots of TV shows.
Yeah, a lot of hype on that show. People say it's pretty good.
Yeah, I was very, very close actually about a week ago from picking up season 1. I saw it at Walmart for like dirt cheap, and I was like, I should probably grab that. But you know what? I'll just wait it out, get it even cheaper, and then watch it in 10, 12 years or something, along with all the other ones. It's just too many to catch up on right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is. Speaking of TV shows, of course, we have The Walking Dead season 6. There's no word on the special edition, so if you're a collector of the special editions, doesn't show it on here. It just shows the regular edition for the season 6. So I did notice on here it says episode 616, Last Day on Earth, the extended version. That's cool. So for the Walking Dead fans out there, that is coming out. I guess down in the States, I guess this is getting released. I don't know. It's already been released here in Canada, but the Amityville Terror, new Amityville film that's actually part of the original franchise. I actually picked this up a few weeks ago at Walmart.
Did you really?
It was like 9. Yeah, well, I was like, Amityville. I'm like, fuck, I might as well just grab it.
How do we know what's part of the original franchise? Like, it's really...
Well, I think it on a little bit of a write-up, and not on the DVD, but I did look it up online, and it says that it is connected. But the funny thing is that this one right here, released in 2016, it's actually after like 4 other releases that are supposed to come out this year. There's going to be like 4 or 5 Amityville films that come out this year. And this one was at the bottom of all those releases. I was like, holy shit, they make way too many Amityville films. Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah, but it's weird. Like, I'm looking at it right now, okay? And you have...
Are you seeing the ones that are released before it that aren't released?
Yeah, so you have Amityville 1, 79, Amityville 2, 82, Amityville 3D, which came out in 83, then Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes from 89, then the Amityville Curse from the 1990, Amityville It's About Time from 92, Amityville A New Generation from 93, Amityville Dollhouse from 96, and then the Amityville Horror from 05. Now, from what I understand, like, that's the original, like, like the original films. Those are the Amityville films, produced by the company that owns them. But like then you have the Amityville Haunting from 2011, Amityville Asylum from 2013, Amityville Death House from 2015, which I thought wasn't even part of the series.
Yeah, it's like a Polonia film.
Yeah, so like this is can anybody make an Amityville film? Like that's what I'm wondering. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. This one even says right on the front, based on horrifying true events. So I'm assuming it even has a picture of the house. I think it looks a little different.
The Amityville Playhouse from 2015, which
yeah,
Amityville No Escape from 2016, Amityville Vanishing Point from 2016, Amityville The Legacy from 2016, Amityville Terror, which is the one we're talking about, from 2016, and Amityville The Awakening, which I believe is actually like a production by the original like Amityville rights owners. Like what I'm beginning to think that it is anybody can literally make an Amityville film.
It's like the name is public domain.
Yeah,
it's like anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Make an Amityville film, sure.
That's what I'm wondering, and I'm wondering if like.
But the funny thing is, though, is that they're using images, and they're like, they're even basing it on that original story, and using images and stuff like that. Of the house.
That's not even what the house looks like.
I know, but I mean, it's like an interpretation. I mean, yeah, but
you can do an interpretation of something, right? Legally.
Yeah, I guess. But
it says based on horrifying true events. It doesn't say based on the Amityville murders. It says based on horrifying true events. That can mean anything.
I know, but look, I know, but then, I mean, you just have to assume. How could you not assume?
No, I'm saying like, right. Is it so? How is it like? Is it part of the franchise then? That's what I'm trying to find out.
Well, the way I look at it, man, it's got the Amityville name on it. I guess. I mean, they're even listed on. I mean, Wikipedia, of course, is just open to interpretation from people, anyways, because we're the people that do that. But I don't know, man. I really don't know. I haven't seen half these films, so I don't really know. It's funny because a lot of these films actually do reference things and stuff, which is funny to me.
Yeah, but it's funny. But my question is, can anybody do that? Because if anybody can do that, then they're technically not part of the franchise. Because what makes a film part of a franchise is it being made by the same company that owns the franchise, right?
But the thing is, like, even the fourth film was done by a different company, wasn't it?
Well,
I'm pretty sure even the fourth one.
If the fourth film was done by the company that bought the rights from MGM or whatever, you know what I mean?
But I think the fourth one was like a TV film.
Yeah, but still, it was still produced. I believe, like, if you follow the rights, like, I think it was originally done by AIP or AIP, and then to Orion, then MGM, then to Lionsgate, and then to Republic Pictures. Never does it say anything about Uncorked Entertainment, which is doing this, that just did this Amityville Terror. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, I'm just talking. I
imagine you would probably have to subwrite it somehow. I mean, just even to use the name Amityville. I'm assuming it's probably copyrighted. It has to be. You would assume it would be.
City though, or a town.
I guess. I don't know, man.
As long as you're not saying the Amityville horror, which I believe
they are cutting the fine line here, though. I mean, they're using an image that when you really look at it, it's definitely not the house, but it is portraying that house. It's got the Amityville name on it. I mean, they're definitely, in that total ripoff area if it's not part of it.
But it could be legal to do that. If there's no like sort
it could be
copyright on it. Like, who produced the remake, right?
The legal issues or the legal rights and who knows with this industry, man.
Yeah, like Platinum Dunes, Dimension, and MGM and Radar produced.
Well, that's the thing. These names are in so many different studios and shit like that. Like, who isn't? I mean, do they own certain rights to them? I don't even know. It's crazy when a lot of that many different studios have a part in it.
Yeah, but I would honestly go to say that everything after the remake is technically not part of the franchise except for The Awakening, which is the last one, the last big budget one.
Do you think some of these smaller studios are owned by these bigger ones that are putting out these films?
No.
So maybe you don't think so?
No.
I mean, they quite possibly could be.
Yeah, but I don't think they are because it seems like anybody can make these. There's so many different little things that have made these.
Well, yeah, the Polonia film, yeah, I would assume that, because that's very, very independent.
I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna review all of the Amityville films, like do all these count?
I think it would be kind of fun to do. It would be like a 7-part show.
At least a 4, 8. I mean, it would be like a 5-part arc.
It's ridiculous, man.
I mean, I'm down. I would fucking do it just because it'd be fun. But I mean, yeah, fuck it. Why not? Let's do all of them.
Yeah, I'm working on getting them all, man. Just some of the later sequels or whatever you want to call them, they're not that cheap here, man. It's so weird. Like the Amityville Haunting and shit is still like $10. I'm like, I'm not paying $10 for that shit. That's fucking bullshit.
Well, one thing that I wanted to say is I remember looking back in the day, and like for example, Death House and Playhouse were both not included on this. It went from I think Asylum straight to The Awakening. So like some of these were not included on here before, and now they are. So I'm just wondering if it's like, anybody.
Well, I was surprised to see that. Yeah, I was surprised to see that Polonia film on there too. When I looked it up, and I was like, wow. And then I just burst out laughing when I saw how many 2016 Amityville films were coming out.
I mean, I guess if it says in the fucking description based on the fucking Amityville series, then
I know that's what I was looking at. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man. It's like incredible.
Like think about it, right? Like anybody can make a movie on Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Anybody can do that. Is that like this? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. But please tell me what exactly is so fascinating with, why is there 4 Amityville films coming out in 2016? Like, is it all of a sudden like super popular? Did they strike a deal with like fucking Hot Topic? Are these films going to the Hot Topic? Is that the new thing? Is everyone's going to start wearing Amityville shirts? And you know, I don't get it.
It's weird that in the
just sparked up like crazy.
The very idea that 6 Amityvilles came out in 2 years is ridiculous.
I know, that's exactly what I'm saying. It just makes no sense. It's so crazy. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
So that's our talk on Amityville.
Amityville Terror, yes, based on horrifying true events. Next up, finally getting a Region 1 release is Clown. Every time I see this,
got that one out today too. Jesus
fucking you are such a piece of shit, you know that?
What do you mean?
Like serious?
I could have paid for that.
He's just rubbing it in. He's like, oh, this guy doesn't get shit because he's in Canada. Must be those 1,000 subs you got.
Yeah.
Fuck. But no, Clown's finally getting a Region 1 release.
If it makes you feel any better, I only got it on DVD and not Blu-ray.
Yeah, I was making fun of you too at the beginning. He's like, oh, he's like, fucking asshole sent me the DVD, and I was like, boo-hoo!
Yeah, boo-hoo, you got a free DVD of Clown.
Yeah, there's no Canadian release for this, so it's actually an import, and the DVD I think is $30 on Amazon.ca. I was like, holy shit, man, that's crazy. I won't be picking that up.
The DVD is $12.37 here, and the Blu-ray is only $13.53.
Yeah, why wouldn't you go with the Blu-ray?
I know, right? It's like $1 more.
But I'm actually excited to see this maybe in 4 years when the price goes down. But I'm curious, man. This movie has had so many just different opinions on it. Like I've heard people say, you know, top 10, you know, it was total shit. It was boring. It was great. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm really curious to see this one.
Literally every type of review on it.
Every type of opinion. Yeah, it's really crazy.
You know, speaking of top 10s, it actually did make Dave's top 10.
Oh, that's right, it did.
Yeah. It actually made his number 10 in his top 10 of 2015. Episode 68, boys. Check it out.
Awesome. And that is going to conclude the DVD and Blu-ray releases for August 23rd. Mm-hmm. So, my pick of the week, my release of the week. Wow. I mean, it's not really that hard. Got to go with Arrow, the Bloodstained Butterfly, because I'm sure it's fantastic, and it's Arrow, and yeah, I don't think I could ever just pick a TV show.
I don't think that would have been mine, honestly.
What would you have went with?
I mean,
Psycho 4?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because I know that's a good movie. It's a film that has never been released on Blu-ray. It's a film that you could only get in a quadruple or triple pack. And it has 2 new audio commentaries and rare behind-the-scenes footage from Mick Garris.
Yeah, I think the Bloodstained
Come on, who doesn't
Butterfly-
want to hear Olivia Hussey and Mick Garrison, Henry Thompson in an audio commentary?
Fuck. This one's got some pretty cool features on it too, but I think this is the first time this has been released.
What? The Bloodstained Butterfly?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it had a release before at all. I don't think it did. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, so I guess that's that.
Plus, it being Giallo, I mean, that gets me. It really kind of tickles my pickle, man. I'm just like, and that name though, the Bloodstained Butterfly. That's a great name. That's a great title. It just kind of flows off the tongue. It's great, man.
1971.
Yeah, right in prime time Giallo. It's good stuff. So yeah, that is the DVD and Blu-ray releases. Again, pretty slow. Not too much.
Yeah,
coming out.
You know what though?
I mean,
that's fine by me because I don't have any money.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing that people are saying that like September is just nuts for release and stuff. There is a lot of good releases coming out in September, but it's not like there's so many that I'm not grabbing though too. So whatever it is, what it is. It's actually kind of nice not collecting all Scream Factories because now I can just kind of pick and choose. And I'm like, wow, I'm saving a lot of money now.
Yeah,
it's great.
I
man.
actually
I love it.
do have a little tiny thing we could talk about for knowledge.
Okay, shoot.
So previously we did that knowledge on Jeepers Creepers and how it was like based off of an Unsolved Mystery episode. So there's two types of knowledge segments we could do. One where we just kind of talk about a certain thing that we were thinking of, like VHS or something. And then there's other ones where you might learn something. And I found that this was pretty cool. This was from dreadcentral.com, and this was an exclusive that they had with Doug Bradley, who I believe was on their podcast, if I'm not mistaken, and which I didn't even know Dread Central had a podcast, so I do now, I guess. And
yeah, they got one. Yep.
It was on episode 10, featuring Doug Bradley. And in that episode, Doug Bradley mentions that Clive Barker actually had an original idea for Hellraiser 3. Now, we all know what came about Hellraiser 3. It was came out in the early 90s, I believe, like 93 or something like that. And
92, I think.
92. And it was kind of a cheaper sequel. It was the first time that Clive didn't have really anything to do with it besides production, I believe. And basically, it kind of has mixed opinions, but it does seem like a lot of fans do like it, even though it's like less serious and it's more cheesy because Pinhead is kind of wreaking havoc on the world in the real world. And like a lot of the characters are different besides Pinhead. And, it just is, it's a movie that kind of has a love-hate relationship with the fans. I personally like it. I think it's fun. I like the Freddy-inspired Pinhead who's like talking more and more of like a villain. I like the original two more, but I actually don't hate the third one. What about you?
I like the third one, man.
Yeah, it's fun. So They were talking. And,
I saw that in the cinema.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would have liked to see that, actually.
It's super cool.
Yeah, I believe
it was there for one night. We had it one night. That was it, man. It was one show and it was crazy.
Damn.
And I actually got to go see it. It was
cool.
Pretty cool. I was 12.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably not a lot of people who saw that in the cinema, being the 90s and all. So that's neat. I would love to get a chance to see that in present.
I'm still kind of surprised the movie even got a theatrical release.
I know. I believe Part 4 actually got one too.
Yeah, it was the first 4, yeah.
So anyway, Clive Barker was originally actually going to be attached to the third film, and he actually began writing it while they were filming Hellbound, which was Hellraiser 2. And Doug Bradley shared a story that it was originally going to actually not follow anything from the previous Hellraisers, and it was going to be its own story and actually not even have Pinhead in it at all. And it was going to be set in ancient Egypt, and the Great Pyramid was actually the first Lamont configuration, and it was going to raise a great pharaoh who was the first Cenobite. So that could have been very different in terms of where the story was taken. And it could have been a Halloween 3 situation where everybody was like, what the fuck is this? This isn't even Hellraiser, And like fans could have revolted. So, old Clive Barker might have dodged a bullet.
Damn, that just got me thinking. That's actually a really cool idea.
I would like it now, but could you imagine if that happened back then? Pinhead's not in it and stuff.
It would have been Halloween 3 all over again. Like, what is with these fucking filmmakers, man? They can't just make 3 in a row?
But yeah, I mean, That's pretty cool.
I like that whole idea, man. Like ancient Egypt and, you know, pyramids and pharaohs and shit. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. They had.
I love those settings though, man.
Had fucking cool metal and shit and fucking hooks.
Yeah, man, that would have been cool. I'm a big fan of films. There isn't really a whole lot of horror films that are set, you know, around the pyramids and things like that. But the ones that are, I do enjoy, you know, just because that's such a unique setting. It's very, very different.
Oh, so you love Brendan Fraser Mummy, huh?
I've actually... No, those aren't my style, man. Those over stylized fucking garbage films. No, they're not even horror films.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, there's definitely not many set in ancient Egypt. That's for sure.
No, there really isn't, man. I mean, there was that film that came out a couple years ago called Pyramid.
2013, I believe.
2013,
yeah. Damn.
Which I didn't.
I did 3 fucking top 10 year shows, and we're approaching our 4th. That's crazy.
It is crazy, man. I didn't hate that movie as much as some people. I know people had problems with the CG, like creatures and stuff. And of course, you know, I would rather see practical and things, but I did like the way that film developed. It was kind of cool because it was like in this pyramid. You felt very claustrophobic and stuff. It was kind of cool, man.
I actually didn't see it.
Yeah, it's different. It's a different setting. You never get to see films like that very often, and pretty cool. And then, yeah, I mean, there's been a couple here and there, but that's one setting that is very underutilized.
Yeah.
It's probably because it's too expensive, I would assume. Right?
Yeah, it would probably be hard to.
I mean, if you want to get real pyramids in there, I mean, you don't want to.
One I seen recently. It was called the Day of the Mummy or some shit. It was. I remember it came out a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, I never seen that one actually.
Yeah, I forget what it was actually called. It was all right, like a 5 out of 10. But yeah, so interesting to see where history could have went. Speaking of, Dread Central actually wrote at the bottom of their little tiny article that Hellraiser 3 has actually still not made it to Blu-ray here in the States.
No, it hasn't.
And that reminded me, like, yeah, where the hell is my Hellraiser 3? Like, I want to see Hellraiser 3 on Blu-ray because I actually like that one. And actually, there's apparently an uncut version as well. So
that's right. Yeah, and I think the DVD I have is... I think the transfer is not the greatest, so I think it'd be... Any type of Blu-ray transfer would be just a total upgrade.
I'm still hoping that somehow, like, Arrow gets a hold of them because... I'm pretty sure like Image owned Part 1 and Part 2 last, and as we know, Arrow's been releasing a lot of Image titles.
You know, I haven't got that far, man, from the Arrow box set. Like, I've only checked out the first 2 films. I gotta check out the transfer for Hellraiser 3.
Yeah, by the way, I'm at Arrow US.
Yeah.
Arrow did release the Hellraiser trilogy.
Yeah, but that was a total region B thing. Yeah, it was locked to the UK. But yeah, no, I haven't actually even watched the third one yet.
I would love the first see 2. Like the entire series on box set. That would be epic if that happened. Like as much as honestly,
that'd be a big box set, man. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, honestly, like cool. the later sequels, like they do suck, kind of. But like over the years, I think people kind of are. Well, I think what's gonna happen is people are gonna sort of watch them for what they are, and even though they're not Hellraiser movies, like we kind of enjoyed like the 6th one that we watched for the 2002 show. Yeah, I think all 3 of us enjoyed that.
Yeah, we've been forced to watch at least 2 of the sequels recently.
Yeah, which honestly,
Part 4 and then
Part 4, I liked more the last time I watched it than this time.
You know what, man? Me too.
Yeah, like I watched it with my friend, and she was just like. You know, she was.
It feels like a mess. It feels like a mess.
It's a big mess, but it's also one of those titles that apparently has a completely different cut, so similar to Halloween 6's producer's cut.
Yeah, that probably makes sense, man. Because that movie just feels like it was kind of just thrown together.
I actually love the period piece stuff, which is very short in the movie. It's like the prequel shit. Like that's my favorite part of the movie.
Are you a fan of when they use the same actors as the period piece, and then they're, you know, obviously different characters later on in the future and stuff, but it's the same people? Do you find that a little confusing?
I don't find it confusing. I just am not the biggest fan of it, like I mentioned in Tremors 4.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big. I mean, you know, I just found it really noticeable in Part 4. You know, with that one dude, and then, you know, he's all of a sudden in the future. I'm just like, I don't know why they did that.
They do that a lot.
I know obviously it's to, save on money, obviously.
Yeah, and it's to say like, hey, this is their great relative, like, or whatever, And it's like, oh, like they look exactly the same. Oh, it's because they're the same.
They're identical twins. Yeah. But
yeah, so that's my little knowledge segment. I didn't know that. I don't know if that story's ever been released, so that's kind of cool. It's crazy that we still find out shit that we didn't know. Like, especially about a talked about franchise like Hellraiser.
Mm-hmm.
You would have think that would have came out at some point. Maybe it did. It didn't. Nobody remembers. I didn't remember.
No, it didn't.
But yeah, that is knowledge.
It was knowledge. All right, so we'll get into the morbid fact here from the Corners Report, courtesy of Rue Morgue magazine. This is coming from issue 168 from July 2016. So this is relatively super new. And man, I'm not sure if I read this one or not. Just if I did, then we'll redo this. But I know I read something from here. Sometimes my mind is just like completely ridiculous. But anyways, this one right here, and there is a point to this, but actress Gemma Arterton, she's from Byzantium. She's got a really fucking weird name. Was born with 6 fingers on each hand. Now, the reason why I thought that was interesting is because it's something I definitely don't talk about a whole lot, but I was actually born with 6 fingers on my right hand.
Are you serious?
I am totally not making this up. And oddly enough, I was born with an extra toe on each one of my, on both my feet. So when I read this, I actually forgot about it, and I picked up the magazine today, and it was the first thing I read from the morbid fact, and I was like,
"Do you miss that?
Shit?" I had them surgically removed when I was like,
I think phantom finger syndrome.
Like 3 months? I think they had to wait till I was like 3 months or something. But the funny thing is, like, I mean, my hands are completely normal, but I do have scars from where they were. But on my hands, where my pinky is, so where that outside knuckle is, I do have like an extra nerve there, so it is very sensitive. So if I hit my hand on something, it fucking hurts. So like it hurts like so much more than it would be if it was my left hand. So do you have
phantom appendage syndrome?
No, I don't. I mean, I get itchy sometimes, but the only difference is my feet are a little wider. So wearing thinner shoes, like I have to wear wide shoes. That's why I wear, the shoes that I do. I wear like DCs and stuff because you can get them in fucking wide style, right? So yeah, it's kind of annoying when you're shoe shopping. I used to split the hell out of my Chucks when I was younger. Like I'd wear them for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden the side of my foot would be busting out of there because my feet were too wide for them. But it's just kind of cool that there's other people out there.
How did you not share that story? What are you, fucking Clive Barker all of a sudden?
I know, right? It's something I don't really think about. It was something that used to get brought up when I was in school all the time because I had this one buddy and he was like obsessed with it, and he'd introduce me to people and he'd be like, yeah, and he was born with 12 toes and 11 fingers. And I'm like, thanks, buddy. You have to tell the whole fucking world. Like, I wasn't embarrassed of it, but it was like, you have to bring it up.
Now, if you would have been doing morbid facts like this, I would have never asked if anybody listens to the morbid fact. Like, seriously. This is the best morbid fact we've ever had. This is like This is like the top 9 of the top 10.
It would have been the worst if it wasn't related to me, though. It's just like, yeah, this actor from Byzantium was born with 6 fingers.
Okay, so now you just have to make sure that every morbid fact is somehow related to one of us.
Yeah. But it's funny because I remember talking to my doctor when I was younger, and I said, like, is this common, for people to be born with, extra phalanges? And he's like, actually it is. It's very, very common. He said it was like 1 in, what the fuck it was like really high. I was like, what? I don't know anybody else. Actually, technically I do, because my mom was born with an extra one too. So, but obviously I got that gene from her. But, yeah, it's kind of, it's really fucked up when you think about it though. Because if I was born, 200, 300, 400 years ago, most likely they would have just killed me because I was born deformed, technically in their eyes, right? And it's like, it's kind of scary when you think about it. So I was born at a good time.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, that is the morbid fact for this episode. I guess I'm morbid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Crazy.
So now I guess we'll really know if people are listening to the show, because I'm sure people are going to comment about this.
Yeah.
Fucking Moods is a freak. He's a fucking freak.
I was thinking, like, has anybody ever commented about the morbid fact ever?
Actually, a couple times, yeah. A couple times.
Must have missed them.
Yep. Yeah, there definitely have. I think it's because it's so quick, right?
Yeah.
It's just, generally it's kind of in the middle of the show, and then you have so much more of the show, and it's just probably easily forgotten. But I did have one, and they were like, yeah, that was really interesting. I can't remember. I think it was actually about Wes Craven or something. Who knows? But that is going to conclude Mood Swings, and moving on to the What We Watch portion of the show. And what do we got this week? Are we doing multiple films? Are we doing one? Are you doing an action film? Are you going to talk about Kung Fu and how much you like it now?
I honestly could do an action Kung Fu film, but I could do American Ninja too, but I'm not going to. That's a little like sometimes we'll drag in some non-horror stuff, but that's just way too non-horror.
Yeah, that's not relatable at all.
So I'll go first.
Okay.
And I'm reviewing a film that you said that I would hate. Now, let's see if I actually did hate it.
Oh, no. Which one was this one? Because I always say this to you.
It is Actually, you know what it is, Moods? It's Terror Tunes. While we were recording, I watched the first Terror Tunes.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible.
No, it's Microwave Massacre from the year 1983, directed by Wayne Berwick, starring Jackie Vernon, who apparently is a comedian or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this film follows Donald, who is a construction worker. The film actually opens up with boobs, which is pretty nice, I gotta say. Anytime there's these big boobs walking down the street, you're like, nice. And then, like, for some reason, she pulls them out and puts them, I don't know why actually, but she pulls them out and puts them through like a wood, like, fence or something. Do you know why that happened?
I can't remember, dude.
I guess you haven't seen this in a while, probably, huh?
It's been a long time since I
just was wondering why that happened. I thought it was like a glory hole thing, but then I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's not the point of the film. Like, that's just a throwaway scene. Donald and his wife are like kind of sick of each other, and Donald's wife, she's trying to like cook all these like gourmet like dinners and shit, and like it's right away you know that this film's like comedy as shit, because like they're all pulling out their lunches at work, like they're construction workers, so they have like hard hats, and they're like metal lunch like can things, and they pull them out, and like everybody got like sandwiches and shit, and dude pulls out like this cartoon sized bread with a full crab, like not a deshelled crab, just like a crab, like in the middle of it, and I'm like, what the fuck? So right away you know what kind of movie you got, and honestly, like, I hate movies that are just stupid, but like that actually did cause me to laugh, because I was like, what the fuck? Looked like a cartoon. So basically this guy, I watched this today, so it's really fresh in my memory, that's why I'm like really in detail. He gets into a fight with his wife because she sucks at cooking, and she has this large microwave, this like unusually large microwave, like cartoony large microwave, and he comes home drunk and he kills her. The next day he's like horrified, but like, you know, he kind of accepts it, and then he puts her corpse in the freezer, in which he one day is like really hungry, and he has her body like wrapped up in foil, and he eats her body, and he's like, oh, this actually ain't too bad. So basically he starts to experiment with like recipes, and like he starts giving the food to other people, and he's like eating his dead wife, and he begins to like, you know, kind of bring in other people for his cannibalistic nature. And yeah, I mean, there's some TNA in here. It's kind of almost satirical in a way, with some of the black comedy. Like, you could tell that it's sort of making fun of like silly horror films, you know, in a way that of like their ridiculous concepts, by making a film with a completely ridiculous concept called Microwave Massacre. So there is a little bit of value in that comedy there. Overall, I don't think it's like an amazing movie or anything, but it is cool to see like Arrow Video release a film like this, and which, by the way, this is coming to us courtesy of Arrow Video, and it's cool to see them release a film that like I would have never seen this in life, you know, like, and honestly, like, it's a pretty short movie. It's only about 76 minutes long, and it has a few laughs in it, and like I said, TNA, which is always good. So the movie's not great. It's like a 5 out of 10. but it's a pretty cool release, honestly. I did watch the one special feature on there, which is a 22-minute making of. Wasn't super interesting, honestly. If I'm gonna be super honest, it just wasn't like that. I've expected it to have a cooler story, like how does the fuck does Microwave Massacre come about and shit. But it was just kind of, it was like, it just came about. And there's a commentary which I haven't listened to yet, but
I watched Derek's review on it, and I think he watched all the features, and he said there was one on there that kind of linked Wes Craven to something to do with the film or some shit like that. And I was like, what? I was like, that just fucking blew my mind. Like, I think there was somebody that knew Wes Craven or something. He knew of the film, and I can't remember exactly how the story went, but I was like, that just seems so fucking strange.
Yeah.
At all, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think. I don't think that was in the feature that I'm
not sure what features are on,
but it might have been. I might have missed it, but yeah, I don't remember that.
The one thing I remember from Microwave Massacre is the stupid microwave, like how fucking big it was.
Yeah.
This cracked me
I
up,
do know
man.
that they did talk about like how the ratings board like kind of chopped their film up. It was originally 90 minutes, and it's 73. Yeah? So that's a huge difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I wonder what that would be
footage,
about.
man.
Anyway, that's Microwave Massacres. 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
I didn't hate it though.
I'm actually quite surprised that you even gave it a pass, because it does not seem like the type of film that you would be even remotely interested in. Even it's funny that you had to laugh about the crabs. As soon as you mentioned it, I remember.
Yeah, that was like the funniest part to me. But
yeah.
I think Moods, honestly, like when I really think about it, it's probably definitely because it didn't overstay its welcome too. It's only 76 minutes. Like, I can't complain about a cheesy comedy movie that's 76 minutes.
How was the transfer on it?
It wasn't the best, but for a movie like this, I mean, it's pretty good. Like, I wouldn't expect that the film elements would be in like great condition or anything. So it's pretty good for that, but it's not like a stunning HD like transfer that some films like that are more respectable have. I will say that one thing though, I totally thought that this movie could have been like a half hour, like 20-minute Tales from the Crypt episode. Like it really seems like it kind of fits that sort of comedy that some of the Tales from the Crypt episodes were like. So maybe that's also why I liked it, because it was a short movie that kind of felt like it could have been like an anthology TV show episode.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I can't wait to watch it again. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I remember laughing at it, and I remember like the effects, like the body parts and shit being like so phony looking.
Yeah, there's a lot of by the way, a lot of phony looking body parts.
Like, does it show up even worse on the transfer? You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, but terrible. At the same time, like there was one where he was like shish kebab. Like, this is the level of comedy. Like it's a shot of like him with a skewer, and he's putting like green pepper, onion, red pepper, and then he just puts a whole hand onto the shish kebab. And it's like a whole hand, not like the meat from the hand, like a whole hand. And you're like, what? But that hand looked really good, so it's just like, it depends. But Microwave Massacre, check it out, pick it up if you have.
I can't wait to watch it again. That's so awesome. Yeah. All right. So, film I'm going to review here is from 2013, and it is I believe this is a Spanish film, but it's done with American actors, directed by Sebastian Silva. Yeah. So, I believe he is actually maybe it's actually from the country he's from. Yeah, he's actually from Chile. So yeah, this film actually takes place in Chile, so they base it there, which is really cool. But from 2013, and it's called Magic. This one is starring Juno Temple, Emily Browning, Michael Cera's in this film also, which this is actually one of the reasons why I'd never checked out this movie before, because I saw Michael Cera in it, and I was like, and it's called Magic, and I was like, that just doesn't sound good to me.
I was actually over my cousin's house, and both his girlfriend and one of my longtime female friends were talking about how hot Michael Cera is. And I was like,
how hot Michael Cera is?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think they've seen this movie then. Oh my God. Have you ever heard of this movie?
No.
Magic from 2013?
Nope.
It's an interesting film because Michael Cera was a pretty big star at this time. Like, he'd done a lot of big films, and this was, definitely not like a mainstream film, I don't think anyways, but I just thought it was quite interesting who was starring in this. Juno Temple, she's a good actress and stuff, and just kind of shocked me. But so basically the storyline in this one is, revolves around your main character, Juno Temple. She's kind of a very oddball character. She's very emotional and just kind of strange and stuff. She's very naive to the world. And she has a cousin that's down in Chile. And well, she flies down to Chile to go and visit and hang out with her and stuff. And she's never been out of the country. She's never been out of America. In fact, I don't think she's ever been out of her city. So she, like I said, she's very naive to the world and very awkward. And well, she gets down to Chile and she meets up with her cousin. And of course, her cousin has these friends. And what they're going to do is, they're going off the mainland and they're going to go to stay on this house that's on this remote island. So you have to actually go to this island by boat. It's the only way to get there. You can't drive there. Obviously it's an island, right? What am I talking about? But, upon getting there, Juno's introduced to Michael Cera and a couple of these other characters and stuff. And she soon finds out that her cousin isn't going to be able to make the trip to the island right away. She's going to be a couple days or a few days because she has to do whatever. I think they said in the storyline that she has to stay behind and do these tests or whatever because she's actually in Chile going to school and things like that. So anyways, Juno Temple's character and these friends, they go to this island, and soon as they arrive there, she's having major emotional problems. Like, she's having a hard time connecting with these people like Michael Cera and these other characters. And she just finds them to be just not her type of people. And Michael Cera's character in this film is probably one of the most bizarre and strange and awkward characters I've ever come across in a film. He plays this so brilliantly, man. Like, even as a viewer, you don't know if he's just like weird or like homosexual, or if he's just fucked in the head, or if he's just there's so many things that you're seeing in this character. You can't quite figure him out for the life of you, like if he's actually screwing with her or not. But so basically what's starting to happen is, Juno's character, I can't remember exactly what her name is in the film. I should probably figure that out. Keep calling her by her real name. Her name is Alicia. And so she's dealing with these friends and stuff, and she's not getting along with them. And she starts to having these crazy visions, and all these weird things are happening. And she's claiming that these people are all weird, and that they're doing all this crazy shit to her and stuff. And so eventually, what happens is, about a few days later, her cousin shows up to the island, and then that's kind of where your story goes off from there. My thoughts on this film is, this is a very interesting film, kind of about mental illness and things like that. You kind of learn that really soon in the film, that there's definitely something wrong with her, and, or whatever. But it's a very intriguing film. I have to say, the way this thing develops, it's very, very atmospheric with the strangest characters, and like the weirdest things are happening and stuff. Cinematography, fantastic in this, on location, shot in Chile, in the mountains and things like that. And there's like a lot of really weird sequences in this one. It's one of these films that has kind of like, I've heard people refer to this one as, it's almost like Roman Polanski-ish, in the atmosphere, just the way the characters are in the setting and stuff. And I have to agree, man, it's very strange. But very well acted. I have to say, Michael Cera probably steals the show in this one, besides Juno Temple. She does a great job in the lead. Like, I have to say, for someone that's going through so much that, her character's going through, she plays it off really well. Like, it's really crazy. And it's, more or less like a psychological thriller mixed with horror elements. I've even heard people say, well, just a couple people anyways, say this isn't really a horror film, but I kind of disagree. I think it really is. It is definitely psychological, but it has a very slow type burn to it. And you're not really 100% sure where this film is going, which leads me into the third act, which goes pretty batshit crazy. A lot of things are happening and stuff. And I will say, the ending is one of those things that's either going to make or break your final thoughts on this film. You're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. And I'm just going to leave it at that, because without saying too much, I don't want to go too far. I personally thought it was really intriguing the way they ended this film. I thought it was fantastic. But I can completely 100%, side with people who are like, man, that was really fucked up. And that was crazy and stupid or whatever. But I understand that. But, yeah, this one you have to see to kind of judge for yourself. It's one of those films that you can't say a whole lot about because you don't want to ruin too much, but I think it's good. I think it's really, really good, man. The characters really sell this one. There's so much great interaction between the lead characters of Brink, I think is what Michael Cera's character's name, and Alicia. They do. You almost get this weird feeling when you're watching their characters because they're so weird, emotionally just wrong, and just I don't know, man. It's one of those films that you just got to see for yourself. I'm going to give this one a solid 7.5 out of 10. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's really worth the time. It does run pretty long. It's about 98 minutes long. But it's definitely worth the money though. So check it out. Magic. If you were definitely, kind of on the fence about this one, give it a shot. It's different.
Have you ever been friends with like a person who's like a big like Insane Clown Posse fan?
Like a really big juggalo?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
Well, I have a couple of them, and they always say this thing, and every time you say the title to this film, like, it reminds me of them. They're always like, magic, ninja, what? And, like, every time you say magic, I just expect ninja, what?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so...
But I have to say, man, if we were ever to compile a list of like top 5 creepiest characters other than, like the main villains or whatever in films, Michael Cera's character has to take this cake, man. You got to see this film just to see his performance.
Dang. That's
it's
crazy.
So
I didn't know that.
Fucking weird, man. You don't even know how to take him. It's so strange. It's just the way this film's done. It's really good. Like the best scenes in this film are the scenes between Juno and Michael Cera. Their interactions are so priceless to watch because they are so awkward. They are so awkward, and their acting is good.
Wasn't he in a film called Juno?
I think he was, actually.
It's weird that you keep saying Juno.
It's just easier for me because they're like written right on the case here. I'm like Juno Temple and Michael Cera, but yeah, it's a different film, man. It's really good. And like I said, come to the ending of this film, I can understand, but.
What would you know?
What would you know? Jesus Christ, that's good. That's good. That's good.
So, getting into my second film here, it is 1996's Bordello of Blood. This is a Tales from the Crypt film. This is the second film after Tales from the Crypt wrapped up in its original TV series run from 1989 to 1995. They decided, hey, let's make films. And they made Demon Knight, which, by the way, was awesome. Demon Knight kicked ass. So they have to follow it up in 1996 with Bordello of Blood. And
again, Corey Feldman's name gets brought into the mix again.
Yes. This film is a movie, kind of. And it basically opens up with this little dude who is trying to uncover a skeleton of the mother of all vampires, Lilith. And basically her heart is separated in 4 chambers, each from other parts of the world, and he brings her heart, releases it together in the chamber to where all 4 pieces touch and puts it into her body. She is resurrected, and then it cuts to the Crypt Keeper segment, which is always fun. And then it cuts back to the film in which we have Corey Feldman, who's sort of like this delinquent. And honestly, I actually like Corey Feldman's character in this one. He's actually pretty good. He was in other episode, like an actual episode of the Tales from the Crypt show as well.
That's right.
So yeah, he's sort of a tough guy, like just piece of shit scumbag kid, I guess. And he's hanging in a bar and he just wants to get laid. So this weirdo comes in, he's like creepy and shit, and he's like, I know where you can get laid or something. And then Corey Feldman like follows or drives to this I guess it's like a funeral home. And it's creepy, and they're like, oh, well, this is definitely isn't a brothel, but it's a front for one. So he falls down in like a very cartoony way, down this, like, gets in a coffin and like it falls down and like on the track and goes down and like very like Casper like into a room filled with titties, like tons of titties, which is like one of the best parts of the film. And turns out they're all vampires. And then we find a private investigator played by Dennis Miller.
Dennis Miller, man.
And
the comedian.
So he's Jesus, all these comedians today. Dennis Miller is a comedian, and he's like a cynical, sarcastic private investigator who's hired by the brother of Caleb, who was Corey Feldman's character, or the sister of Caleb, who was the Corey Feldman character, to track down and find out what happened to her brother. He uncovers the vampire lair, blah, 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 blah. Dude, I don't know. I've always tried to like this film, and it's just dry. Like, it kind of has cool, like, boobs and stuff, but, like, there's not really much I like about this film. What about you? I know
it's a bad film, but I find it a little bit entertaining.
And that's what I do, too. A little bit entertaining. Just a little bit, though.
Yeah, there's something, I don't know what it is, man. There's some kind of weird, I find Dennis Miller to be funny, because Dennis Miller is just basically playing himself in that film. That's just the way he is.
I heard that he was, like, kind of a dick on set, though.
Yeah, I've heard that too, actually. I mean,
maybe he's just staying in character. Cause
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, man. This is one of those films that when you watch it, every time I see it, I always think that it could have been just so much better. But you know what really bugs me about this film is, what's her name? The lead vampire in the film, Angie Eckhart, the red-haired chick.
Erica Ellenneck, or no, Angie Everhart, yeah.
Angie Everhart. Yeah, I believe that she used to be like a Victoria's Secret model or whatever. She wasn't even an actress. So, but it really shows in the film because she's just fucking awful. Mm-hmm. Her acting is so atrocious in that film. It just bugs me. Like, she's so hot to look at. And then she opens up her mouth and you're like, oh, shut up, bitch. Jesus. Fucking terrible. That's one thing it does bug me about the film. The acting is so hit and miss in that one. And it's just, could be so much better.
Yeah, it does kind of suck. I mean, there was a cool moment in the beginning where you see that the key artifact that controls Lilith is the same key from the Demon Knight film, and apparently was also supposed to be on Ritual as well, but they kind of, when this film failed, they released Ritual as its own standalone film, and then later in life reinserted a Tales from the Crypt thing. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like that's pretty cool. Like, this is such a step down from Demon Knight that it just kind of failed at the box office and critically. So they just kind of canceled the whole Tales from the Crypt thing. And it sucks because, like, that's maybe another reason why Bordello of Blood kind of pisses me off, is because it, like, ruined what was so cool. And, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just not a movie that I love. And the last time I watched it, I reviewed it for the Fright Tube, I believe. And so you're looking at probably like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And I liked it a little bit. I liked it then, but like this time, this watch, I don't know, I just wasn't into it. I watched it with that same friend that I watched the other film that I was talking about with, Hellraiser 4, and she was not into this one as well.
You gotta start picking better friends to show your friends, or better films to show your friends, man.
Well, I've been trying to force her to watch these 96 movies with me. So
you're such a dick. You're so selfish. You're like, I gotta get these watched anyways, man.
Yeah. So pretty much every movie that I've ever showed her has been like not a great movie. So like, we watched Uncle Sam together.
All you watch is shitty films. Oh God.
Sam together. We watched Model Hunger together, which is, by the way, that's like a terrible film to show somebody who doesn't like know a lot about like indie films, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean,
what did you think of Uncle Sam?
Not much, honestly.
Dude, that movie's terrible, man.
Yeah.
I can't believe I used to like that movie one time. Upon rewatch of this 96 show, I was like, holy shit, man. I actually find myself agreeing with Dave for once.
It's messed up.
It doesn't happen very often. Me and Dave disagree on like everything, but I was like, Dave is right. This movie's terrible. It's fucking terrible.
It's messed up, dude. Like, my whole like existence, I've always wanted to find somebody who loved horror movies. You know, just any friend, anybody
and then
at all.
All you do is show them shitty ones.
Yeah. So it's like this past 4 or 5 months that we've been watching flicks together. Like, I've been showing her like the worst movies.
Dude, that is so funny.
Yeah, I forget what else we watched, but I don't think I'm not sure if there's been one good movie yet. So
Jesus Christ, dude, you got to step your game up, man.
I know.
So what do you
you know? We watched The Craft.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit better.
And Ebola Syndrome.
Okay, now we're talking. Yeah, that's good.
I forgot about those too.
Jesus, what did she actually think of Ebola syndrome? That must have been kind of a shock.
Hilarious.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, she's not like she's not the type to be like disturbed or shocked by anything.
Mm-hmm. But just that idea, like the idea of Ebola syndrome is pretty nasty, man.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so that's Bordello of Blood, ladies and gentlemen. Not super good in my opinion. What
was the rating?
Did I not rate it? Okay,
No,
6 out of 10. Better than I kind of let on. But that 6 out of 10 was the last time I rated it. I didn't even change the rating. I was like, yeah, that seems about the same. So,
you know what's funny is that's exactly what my rating is too.
Yeah, I mean it's like a well-made movie, like in terms of like quality, like that, like you got to give a point at least for all the TNA, right?
Of course. It's just, well, I mean, could you imagine a film set in like a bordello without lots of tits and ass?
Yeah,
that'd be pretty fucking lame.
That's not a world I want to live in, Modes.
No, that's just not even acceptable. Can't make films like that. Ridiculous. So 6 out of 10. I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I agree.
All right.
Yeah. So. Alrighty, so we are going to take it to the year of 1985 with an Italian film, because this is going to be my Italian Stallion of the week.
I haven't done a segment in so long.
Yeah, so 1985, it's strange to be reviewing a film like this from the mid-'80s, because it was very much past the time of giallos and things like that. And this one claims to be, but we'll get into that in a minute. But directed by Alberto Di Martino, and I know him from directing the film The Antichrist. They came out in the early 70s. It's pretty much a kind of like a Exorcist ripoff type deal, but still a really cool film. And I recently reviewed another film that he did called Bloodlink. Just a few episodes ago, I believe I did. So yeah, this one right here is called Formula for a Murder from 1985. From Shameless Entertainment.
Do you think, Modes? Sorry to cut you off. Do you think that if this film didn't exist, they would have called Making a Murder Formula for a Murder? That
would be cool. It's a good title.
Yeah, I like the title, actually. It's pretty cool.
Formula for a Murder, starring, of course, who's in this film here? We got David Warbeck, of course. He's from lots of films. I mean, The Beyond, stuff like that. Basically what this one, it starts out, it kind of gives you this backstory of your main character, Joanna, I think is her name. What happens in the beginning of the film, she has this unfortunate encounter with somebody, and she has a pretty freak accident. She falls down these stairs and she gets crippled. And it's kind of cool, actually. Like when the opening scene in the film is pretty cool. And then you see this kind of doll kind of roll down these stairs, and it jumps into the present. So now she is our main character. She's crippled and she's pretty rich and stuff. In steps David Warbeck. He's like a trainer or something like that. She's training to be like a world class like archer and stuff, since he's her trainer. They fall in love, they get married and stuff, but then it's revealed right away that he's only marrying her so that he can kill her and, take her money, essentially. So, and it's not a spoiler because it's actually revealed like really, really early in the film. And so that's basically your setup to the film right there. Now my thoughts on this film, this one right here is actually kind of a confusing film because it's sold to you as a giallo. Now, we know what a giallo is. It does have certain elements of a giallo, especially in the beginning of the film. You have this assailant all dressed in black, black gloves and stuff. He kills this priest and, you never see his face and things like that. It starts out very much like a giallo, but then you learn very quickly who the killer is. It's revealed right in the main kind of plot of the film. And you're just like, what the fuck? That's so crazy. See, I wasn't thinking it was going that way, considering the Shameless cover has the killer right on the cover of the film. The face is right there and stuff. So this film is very confusing because it starts out as a giallo. It reveals who it is right away, and it just turns into a slasher film, and you know who the killer is, like throughout the whole film. It tries to pretend that it hasn't revealed who the killer is, though it's kind of ridiculous how it is. Basically, Joanna has all these nasty flashbacks of the time that she had this accident, or this person that, made her have this accident when she was a kid. so she starts seeing like these, these really demonic bloody dolls and things like that. And, but the script is so poorly written that you know who's doing this and you know who is doing all this killing and stuff like that because they've basically told you and they've shown the face. And I'm just like, holy fuck. Like the script is just a bona fide mess. It's just crazy. So basically what happens is when you learn this, half an hour into the film, who the killer is, there's no mystery at all. It turns from a giallo into a straight slasher film. There's no mystery. And all it is just body count now. It's just body count. You're just hoping that the kills are going to get pretty good. And there's not really a lot of twists and turns in this at all. It's just a very, very silly script. It just kind of ruined the whole idea of what this killer or what this film could have been. And it's just kind of ridiculous, but there is some cool parts in it. There's some decent kills. I think there's a lot of really cool scenes with the bloodied up doll. I like films, even though they're in kind of dream sequences all the time. And that's one thing this film has a lot of is dream sequences because of course she has to be seeing things and, and it's one of those films too, where you're like, okay, now she's definitely sleeping in this one. And this one right here is happening right now because this guy's doing it. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, man. These are the type of movies I just shake my head at. I still kind of enjoyed it though, to be honest, even though it was just really just such a mess of a script. I haven't seen a movie like this in such a long time. It's pretty bad. The music was actually pretty cool too. There was even pieces that were ripped off from Fulci's New York Ripper in this. And I was like, okay, that's so Italian, go and rip off some famous score pieces from those type of movies. That's pretty awesome. The kills aren't the greatest in this one. They're okay. It's a little bit bloody and stuff. And I was expecting, once you figured out who the killer was halfway through the film, that it was just going to go apeshit. Well, it doesn't really go apeshit. There's like a few more kills and that's it. So it's kind of disappointing in that, but as a whole, it actually wasn't too bad. At the end of the film, I was shaking my head and I'm like, there was whatever, but I'm still going to give this one a 5 out of 10 because it was still kind of entertaining, even though the script was a bona fide mess, absolute mess. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. It was very disappointing. Giallo slasher. What is it trying to be? Don't know. Game, set, match.
Yeah, I will never watch giallos unless they get your stamp of approval because I just don't. I feel like the ones that aren't good, I don't want any part of.
Dude, it's just so funny that this movie starts out like a very typical giallo. It has that cool scene, and you're like, okay, and then 10 minutes later, it shows you who the killer was, and it's just not even a mystery anymore. I'm like, that's not the point of a giallo. How can they sell this as a giallo? I don't know what Shameless was thinking by putting the killer read on the cover and showing his face. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck, man? The storyline tells you who the killer is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so ridiculously done. It's a terrible storyline, but kind of entertaining though. Pretty entertaining, but.
Have you seen that one called like Francesca that's coming out?
No, but I've been anticipating this film for a while. I think we might have talked about the film maybe sometime last year on a podcast or something. It was announced by Unearthed or whatever. And, yeah, it just sounds awesome. I can't wait to see it.
I should have a copy coming in.
Really? You're getting a copy of that?
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy, man. I fucking on the MBD list too and stuff. And, I requested, I get the odd thing here and there, but I did request that one. And I don't think he got back to me, so I'm probably not getting it.
That's messed up, man.
Probably not getting it, man. It's fucking shitty. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. But it would be nice, man. Hopefully get the 3-disc one, too, because that thing sells for like $30. So, that'd be pretty cool, man. Pretty cool stuff.
All right, well, we'll see.
Yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to that one, actually. I'm a big fan of Unearthed films. They've released some pretty fucking cool indie films, so.
I'm not sure if I have any from Unearthed.
Yeah, if you looked hard enough, you might.
Probably at least have one.
Did you? You didn't pick up Sheepskin from this year, did you?
Mm-mm. But that cover was cool.
Yeah, it's actually a really cool film, but Unearthed released that. So yeah, that is going to conclude what we watch, I believe. We only got 2?
Yes, y'all.
All right, so moving into the featured review of the show. And what did we say? It's from Artsploitation Films from 2015.
Yep, got its official sort of wide release in 2016, so would be eligible, has its scores high enough on top 10s of 2016 lists. Yes.
Yeah, Artsploitation, man, I don't know. Recently, man, they've been kind of, just with the last few releases, very kind of hit me. I mean, the films have been decent, but just not as good as like the earlier ones. Are you kind of finding that?
Yeah, I mean, well, you had Fever, which you liked, I didn't like. And then you had The Perfect Husband, which I liked, you didn't like.
I just didn't like it as much as you. I did like it, but it was the fact that the predictability of that film kind of hurt it for me.
And this is their third one from the second set. The third set. Well, if you count the film rise, the fourth set.
Now, this film right here, Observance, I was very intrigued because it's an Australian film. And
it is.
I love my Australian, my Artsploitation films. I'm a really big fan. So yeah, I was like, damn, finally. Yeah. I think this is the first Australian film that they released. So I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, I guess we'll get into the synopsis of this one. I'll just read this storyline. I think it's not giving anything away. Sometimes I got to start reading over these IMDb synopsises because some of them are like not very good, or they're giving spoilers or some shit. So, anyways, in the grip of grief following the death of his young son, his marriage on the rocks, and nearing bankruptcy, Parker reluctantly returns to work as a private investigator, embarking on an unusual assignment to observe a woman from an abandoned apartment. Parker witnesses bizarre happenings surrounding her, unaware that the derelict building that he surveys her from has birthed a dark presence which slowly threatens to consume him. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description.
Actually, that is pretty good. That is pretty good.
Because even the death of his young son and the marriage on the rocks, like the description directly says that. Like, it's not even really directly said in the film, I don't think.
Actually, it's interesting that they put that in the description, because that was one thing we were talking about pregame, about what I was kind of leading into the end of the film, is that it's very subtle in the film how they tell you this. It's about halfway through the film, and then they kind of give you this where he has a brief conversation on a phone, and then you're like, oh, okay. You know, it's very subtle on how they tell you all that information in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, you know, a lot of this film, like this whole film, one word review is subtle.
Yeah, it's a very, very subtle film. It's one of those things you just watch and just kind of keep your eyes open. And
so the first thing that I would like to express is I've always been a fan of like voyeuristic, like Disturbia, Rear Window style films.
Rear Window is one of my favorite movies. It's it's right up there for my favorite Hitchcock film besides like Psycho and stuff. I love it.
There's something fun to me about spending time with a character who's doing nothing but like living day to day and spying on his neighbor. Like it's so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. You know what? One thing I like about this film is that they didn't really build up the almost the tension of it and, you know, the creep factor in the film. Right from the opening scene in this film, which is really cool, man. That kind of rolling black and white shot of like the water and cliffs and stuff. I thought that was really cool. Very artsy. It kind of ties in with the later stuff. But, you know, as he gets into the apartment and he starts watching this girl and stuff, it's got this really kind of dark, ambient, amazing score. And it just creates this atmosphere right from the start. It doesn't even build that up. It's just like he's already in the mix of something.
And also,
I like that.
What creates the atmosphere, along with the score, is the setting in which the apartment that he's in, with like newspaper taped to the walls and just gross looking, honestly. like that sets the atmosphere too.
See, one cool thing about this film I really enjoyed, man, the first words you hear in the film are about 12 minutes into it. And I think, this whole film doesn't really have a lot of dialogue.
Not a lot at all.
But it's just perfect that it doesn't have a lot of dialogue, because I tell you, that it's almost like a very ambitious, dark, ambient score that just kind of drives the forces in this film. It's so noticeable and present that you kind of get engulfed in the film, and I think it just makes everything so much more subtle.
And
you know
what else about the so dialogue, weird. The specific mention of that there's not a lot of dialogue in the film, that is also a creative choice, because, and you know, this is the stuff that I always talk about on the low budget indie films are missing the point of.
I like
and
this choice.
It's about creativity in terms of when you don't have the dialogue, it adds to the story of loneliness, and it sets the tone even more that this guy is doing this by himself because he's not talking to anybody, and it makes him feel more isolated by the fact that there's very little dialogue, and when there is, it's through a phone call, which also suggests, or hammers in the fact, cements the fact that the person he's talking to is not near him because it's through telephone. Like, that's the type of stuff that I always say is that's filmmaking. That's good filmmaking.
Exactly. This filmmaker totally got the point of what he was doing. That phone call, it really shows you how distant he is. I absolutely, I just love.
They're so brief too, which even adds to the point that like any little bit of
it's also
human
because
life is brief.
It is, man. It shows you how distant it is, but it shows you that, he's obviously just there, technically to do a job and stuff, but he's just checking in. It's so brief that it's like you can't even get any satisfaction out of that conversation whatsoever, and it's just like back to the grind.
And it's all business.
It's all business. It's all business. It's kind of psychological too, right?
Yeah, it's like prison. Like this guy's in prison essentially, and his sentence is 5 or 3 days or whatever, and then it turns into 7 days.
Yeah. And I do like the way they did this film too, because they based it over like a 7-day period. And originally his job, he was only supposed to be there for about 2 or 3 days, I think, or something like that.
Yep.
And so he was, after 2 or 3 days, and he gets a call and he says, well, the employer, because he's talking to the middleman, says, well, he wants more information. Can you stick around till the end of the week, which is like the next 3 or 4 days? And of course he says no at first, because he's starting to see things at this point, and he's starting to get a little loopy, and he's lonely, and things just aren't working out.
You can tell that he's just generally uncomfortable.
He's very uncomfortable, and he's starting to get a little paranoid because he's starting to think that something's wrong.
Yeah, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You would think, like, as a private investigator, this guy probably gets calls to check and see if someone's wife is cheating on him or something like that. But he doesn't know why he's doing this.
I love the way they explained it too. It's like, cause he's watching this girl and he's like, well, there's this guy in the mix. He's like, am I supposed to be watching this guy too? And they're just like, just report.
Yeah.
It's like simple answer. And it's like, you're like, oh, fuck, crazy. So he agrees to stay on to the end of the week, even though it's kind of against his will, because he's just not liking this. He feels something's terribly wrong. He decides, or they agree on an extra $15,000 to stay to the end of the week. And that's when the shit kind of just starts going crazy in the film. He starts seeing things, and he's not really sure of what's happening. He's getting very, very sick.
Yeah.
There's a scene in the film where he's literally puking up black stuff, and it's just like,
dude, that was one of the when watching that scene, I was like, I'd never seen a scene like that. That was pretty cool. Like, I couldn't remember like a throw up that was like that, like disgusting, but it was like also just like eerie, because you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's scary because you're like, what the fuck is this?
Like, he's literally like puking up his stomach. There was like pieces coming out of his mouth. It was like nasty.
It was like bile. It was just like, ugh.
So the way they do this film is, it really does show you the days. It breaks it down into days. So it's like day 1, and then it has a few things that happens, and it's like day 2, and then day 3.
He develops a gnarly looking rash, which, by the way, looks really good. It has like a yellow infected color to it.
Yeah. Fuck, those are always gross.
Yeah.
That yellow infected look is disgusting, but
yeah, and he wears a tank top, and it like you can see it like leaking through his shirt as like when there's shots of his back. And it's just always there, and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, so that when he has that conversation with his employer or whatever, that was beginning of the day 3, and then I think you hit about like the 35-40 minute mark in the film, and then everything just kind of turns crazy. And it's, it turns very psychological, for the viewer. You're like, okay, what's going on here? And yeah, he's having a really rough time. It's basically all you can kind of say with that. I don't know, man, your overall thoughts your thoughts on what's next? This one I think develops very, very nicely.
Yeah, it does develop nicely, and like we said, it's so subtle that by the end of the film, you could a lot of people could be like, what the fuck was this? This movie sucked. Like, what? Like, it had no point, but it really did. Like, there's an answer to questions, at least I believe there is, and it's very just suggested. It's not directly in your face. I mean, there are things that if you really think about it, you're like, oh, like it all makes sense now. Like, you know, and
all
like,
it does
just
is
certain
take just a
things
little
you're
bit.
seeing.
It's literally like the ending to this film is literally one of those things where you could either go, what the fuck? Or you just kind of sit there and think about it for a second, dig deeper into your psyche, and you go, well, here's the resolution.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it was, you know, but I like this film on all levels because, man, I think it was a good choice putting in those days because you get a feel for just that short period of time that he was in this apartment, you know, those 7 days. Yeah. On how much he went through, and then
honestly the tension is building. Like when you know like it's close to the end. You're like oh, all I got is 2 more days, man. Like he might be able to make it out of this. Like it actually was effective in terms of tension.
Major.
And there's
this is
good.
It's a really slow burn film, but it's designed like that. And if you're kind of in and out of watching this film, you're probably either going to miss some of the major key subtle moments in this one, or you're going to be like, that was fucking stupid. So this is one you really have to kind of pay attention to because like we said, the main key word here is subtle. Everything is subtle and it's, in my opinion, it's really well executed. And, you know, by the end of the film, you're just like, holy fuck. Yeah. You know, I like having that feeling.
There's actually some scares in this movie too. Like there's one scene where, because Woody, he has surveillance on this girl, and he also manages to place audio in her building, which by the way is an intense scene.
Yeah, which is a funny scene actually.
Yeah, it's you know, it's kind of reminded me a lot of that film that we covered. It was the Spanish film that Brandon sent us. Dark Sky released it. Remember what I'm talking about? It made our Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Of course it did. We can't even remember the fucking title right now.
Yeah. It was called Sleep Tight. It reminded me of that scene where the guy's like snuck into the girl's apartment and like she's walking around and he like is trying to get out.
Yeah.
But there's a scene that's actually scary, and it like one of the audio clips that he recovered over there, it's just like static audio, but then there's something on the audio, and I was like, oh shit, like that was kind of scary. Did that scare you at all? Like,
well, it was the way they did it too, because again, that ambient score was playing, and it was just like, and all of a sudden it was like, get out, and I was like, what? And then he even rewinds it too. And I was like, holy shit, man.
I was like, oh,
yeah, it's crazy, man.
Creepy.
But yeah, but a lot of good imagery in this one. And, I think with some people, they might kind of watch this film and, there is some dream sequences in this film, or more or less dreams, or it depends on how you want to interpret it really, but dream sequences and, almost very artsy scenes where, he's on this, rocky shoreline and stuff. And I love that scene. I don't want to give away the whole scene, but he's with someone else and it just kind of goes back and forth between this character. That was a really, really effective and creepy scene.
That. Yeah, it looked.
I thought it was real, but the one thing I loved about that scene is just, generally when you watch films and there's a lot of dream sequences, what is the first thing that someone does when they wake up?
Rub their eyes and be like, oh shit, like
no, they usually kind of sit up really fast and jump up and it's like, oh, they kind of let the viewer know completely, oh, that was a dream. And that's kind of what that moment is, right? It's like, oh, that was a dream. But I love the way they executed the scene, is that he's having this really gnarly, very artsy type scenery type, thing, which does make sense actually if you think back in the film. And when he wakes up, what does he do?
What does he do?
He doesn't even fucking move. He just opens his eyes.
Like, which is what most people do.
Yeah, but like some people, when you're having a nightmare, they, in the movies, they kind of accentuated, you sit up and you're like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like it that they didn't do that.
It was but it goes along with the film because the director knew exactly what he was doing. He was keeping everything subtle. He didn't make a big point of it. He just kind of opened his eyes and was just like, shit, man. Just kind of looks around the room, like, very briefly, and they cuts the next scene. Mm-hmm. It was subtle in itself, but it was scary. Yeah. Because he's like, what's happening? Like, because this is right in the middle of him not really knowing what is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's having all these crazy dreams, and it's very, very subtle, and it's cool. And I think it works. It's very haunting. It's cool. And it adds so much to when you kind of have to think about the ending. I think it's cool.
Yeah. So, one thing that I will say, kind of winding it down here, I think it's no question that Miyamoto's are pretty high on this one. Artsploitation has a nice little rebound with some, maybe some mediocre films some might consider with the first two releases of this batch, but it seems like they bounced back pretty good with Observance. One thing that I will say though, Moods, I wasn't a fan of the press stuff that came out for this film because some of the like images that came out was, for example, the image of the little boy with the black leaking out of his eyes and mouth. And I was just like, it made it seem like it was a ghostly or something. I don't know. Like, I was like, I think this film was like marketed slightly wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, like I mean, I think that
now thinking back,
just based on the images I've seen for the film,
I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. And then, I mean, I can see how you would totally misinterpret that. Yeah, or how people.
Because that's such a small little fraction of the movie, anyway.
Well, that's it. Again, it's. I know. I don't know why they would ever show imary of that, because that's
looks creepy. That's why.
Because it's a very subtle storyline. That's what's going on, and that's kind of stupid that they would show that. Really thinking back on that, so
I mean, it's your typical like image that is attractive to the eye. It gets you intrigued. But I just feel like the type of people that would watch this film for that reason are going to be disappointed because it's not that type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I liked this movie. Obviously, I think you did too.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was. I don't know. I wasn't expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, right from the opening shot, I was like, wow, this is going to be kind of an artsy type film and stuff. And
which is good for Artsploitation. Like they do a lot of some of the better ones that we've liked have been artsy, right?
I mean, I'll be honest. I was expecting a little more of not like a full blown ghostly Ju-on or something like that, but come to think of it, I was expecting something a little different too, which is good though, because in my opinion, this film was very unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
it's kind of an odd thing because at first I was expecting it to be like a thriller, but there's like more like cult like and like horror vibes to it than like I just thought it was going to be like like some of the films they released, like the child molester one, The Treatment, and the one where they kidnapped a girl. Like I thought it was going to be more along the lines of one of those.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's actually more of a horror movie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this one was I mean, obviously it was entertaining, but I love when these slow burn films totally pay off. Mm-hmm. It's so satisfying to me. It's so satisfying.
Actually, what I would suggest here is that we get into some ratings, and if you wanted to, we could kind of wrap up the show, and then for anybody who's seen this film and wants to stick around, we can go into what we thought about the ending. If you would like, do one of the spoiler things that we did for Cemetery Man.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this film, I thought that it was really haunting. It's a slow burn, very solid movie. Just, got to pay attention to it. But those are the films that I like. Like, I like the ones that you have to pay attention to, and there's very subtle things that sort of reveal more about the story without really revealing more about the story. Like, it's hidden still. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the acting was good. Like, it's a great shot movie. The score is good. Like it's a solid watch for sure. I give it an 8 out of 10.
Jesus Christ, that's funny. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a big fan, like I've said many, many times, slow burn films, but I love films with great imagery. Really, really good camera work. Cinematography was fantastic in this film. It was one thing that I was just really blown away with because this guy hasn't really done a whole lot. I will say one thing that did bug me about this film, just to kind of justify my rating too. But one thing that really kind of got to me in this film, and this has happened many, many times in Australian cinema. I don't know why they always do this, but it's like Australian directors are afraid to say that they're from Australia. And this was a great example of a film that I figured that he was maybe a little bit scared to have his main actor just use his normal accent. He's an Australian actor, but he's doing an American accent. And it kind of bugged me. And I'm just like, why don't you just, just don't worry about it. You're Australian. Just make your Artsploitation. You make your fucking movies. And like, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is with Australian films.
I mean, sometimes like Australian films like don't appeal to Americans. Like that's if you're trying to make as much of an impact with your film and get it to as many people. Sometimes it's bad to have accents.
I mean, I understand that, but I mean that works for you. But like for me, I want them to be proud of where they're from and just, I mean, because
proud of where you're from.
The main actor is Australian. Like he's basically playing an American, right? I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's just a little bit of a quirk on, just a minor little gripe on the film. But I mean, I've seen it so many times in Australian films. It happens quite often. I mean, even you take Road Games, for instance. I mean, the main characters are Stacey Keach and, Jamie Lee Curtis, Jesus Christ, and they're American, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. But
didn't Italians do this all the time?
Use an American actor? Well, they usually they have Italian actors and they dub them over.
Yeah, which is even way worse.
Oh no, it totally is. But it's I don't know.
You give those films
different.
a pass.
It's different. I don't want to get into why that's different, but anyways, yeah. But man, one thing the subtlety of this film was just outstanding to me. I loved it. The score worked perfectly. The director knew exactly what he wanted. I like the way this story develops and the way he kind of just hides things, that's really good. I think the score is one of the main things in this film. It's just so haunting right from the beginning. Works perfect, man. And I love the way this film, it doesn't really prepare you for what you're about to see in the end of the film. I think it's a little bit shocking, to be honest, which I like because ultimately there was no predictability for me at all. I thought it was going in one completely different direction and I didn't get that. And I was like, that's awesome. That's totally cool. So, but I like that. I big props, for doing something like that. And, it's cool, man. And I also give this film 8 out of 10. So
sweet. Cool.
Yeah.
So, that is going to do it for episode number 86 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror. Those who want to hear some spoilers, stick around. If you guys would be so kind, rate us on iTunes. I know that we recently had a rating from France, but I don't know if I could see it. I haven't looked yet, because sometimes I think we discovered that ratings from different regions won't pop up in the region that you are in looking at the ratings. So it's very possible that we can't see it, but definitely thanks for rating us. That always helps the show. And like I said many, many times, if you rate us, then anytime we do a contest, you will automatically be entered in every contest we do. And that was Charlene who rated us. Thank you, Charlene. Also, you can follow us on 22shotsofmoodsandhorror.com. Been posting a lot of news on there lately. The ratings are completely updated minus last episode's update. So you can check that out. Hall of Fame's all updated. Hall of Pain's all updated. And horrorphilia.com, thank you to Jason Lloyd for always not only posting our show, but always helping me with different things and different questions that I have. Very, very just super nice guy. And I actually been getting my input on other shows and stuff to bring on the network, which I really am honored to be part of that. And you can definitely be part of our journey to 6,000 and 2,000 subscribers by subscribing to both me and Moods on YouTube, which is Moods616 and Double Shot J, as well as send us an email at 22shotsofmoodsanthorror@gmail.com or 22shotshorror@gmail.com. I don't know if Moods, you have an email address or anything that you want.
I got lots of them.
Okay. So voicemails 724-426-6665. Again, that's 724-426-6665. And by the way, we did have one this week, but we're going to sit on it a little bit because it was a top fiver, and we want to take some time to actually perfect our little top 5 list. So we'll play that one the next time we record.
That is right. Yeah.
As for our next show, we're not 100% sure what it's going to be, but I believe that it might be the top 10 of 1996, so in which case that voicemail would be played on the episode after that.
So when was the top 1,000? When was the top 10 2002 show? What episode was it?
That episode was episode number...
Was it 70?
It was number 74.
74. So, and this is 85. So it's been 11 episodes. Yeah. So that's how long that show's been in prep for.
Yeah, and even longer considering we took a massive break.
Exactly.
Realistically, we probably would be at about episode like 90 or 92 or even...
Yeah, we'd be in the early 90s right now for sure.
Yeah.
We probably missed a good 5 or 6 episodes, yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys can always find us in all the cool places. Is there anything that I left out? Twitter, 22 Shots Podcast, which follow us on there. We get a lot of followers, like, here and there, so that's pretty cool.
We do.
And, as always, like, just keep supporting us. Leave us comments, please. Like, that's like my favorite thing, is the comments. And
yeah, the comments
I get
are
really
always
butthurt
nice.
when I don't see comments. I'm like, what the fuck? That must have been a sucky episode.
What was it, episode 84? I think you uploaded. No, it was 84, 83. Uploaded on my channel for me. And you're like, the fuck? There's no fucking comments.
Yeah, I felt like they knew I uploaded or something. Like, this isn't a Mood 616 production.
That's pretty funny. Well, they probably did know something was wrong because you labeled it different than I usually do.
I did. I labeled it like all of our other episodes on like different like Horrorphilia and 22shots.com and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. So if you are still sticking around to hear, well, this is very odd. We usually don't do spoilers, but this isn't technically spoiling anything if, you obviously heard that, that we waited till the end of the show anyways. Yeah, we're not like those dicks that just throw out spoilers in the middle of reviews, but yes, for the people that have seen Observance.
Which is probably very few.
Very few.
Because it just came out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ending can definitely be interpreted different ways, I guess. But I don't know. What's your interpretation of it, or what do you think?
So, at some point in the film, we learned that the girl's family is sort of big-time players, like rich and famous. Or, I don't know about famous, but like definitely like successful. And
yeah,
we also learned that they were tied to some sort of scandal or something in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got is that we're seeing all these weird things that we're seeing happen to this guy, or actually that, at first they just seem like weird shit, but like it all kind of leads to the fact that I believe that they're sort of marking him in a ritual to stay in power and success. Is that what you got?
Huh. That is actually not really. Not really.
Shit. So what did you get?
Not really. I actually took it the completely different route. See, I was thinking that there was something more in depth with that girl and stuff like that, but I kind of took it for a little more face value. Cause I did think about it after, and I was thinking of different things, and I was like, well, cause there's so much subtle things in the film that you learn about him as a person, and basically all the tragedies and, the things that are going on in his life, right? They do explain to he just lost his son, his marriage is failing. And on top of that, he's got these crazy hospital bills, which he has led him into bankruptcy. And of course, he's just mentally, he's totally exhausted. He's gone. He's lost. He's losing his mind type thing. So he has to go back to work and shit like that. So basically what happens here is that all these things are being conjured up while he's there. He's doing this. He's supposedly, he's doing this job. And that's basically what's happening, because it shows certain things in the film where, he has a little bit of conversation with his wife or whatever, and then he tries to kill himself. And, and then right after that, things really go downhill for him. He's just, he's losing his mind completely. He's supposed to be doing this job, but then I think it turns into, it's almost going to be like a satisfaction type deal for him now. He's so far gone mentally that maybe something like murder can almost, kind of bring him out of it. But, when you get to that point, it doesn't really fucking matter anyways. That's just what you do. So, yeah, so he eventually just completely fucking loses his mind, because of all the shit that he's gone through. And, this is just not making it better, being stuck in this place. And I think it's just a matter of build up, and he snaps. He fucking completely snaps. And, because she comes over, and I like that scene because it's not threatening. It's not even threatening at all. And all of a sudden she's locked in there, and it's kind of a weird scene because, she goes into the building and he's doing something fucking crazy with his bear head or some shit like that. And
no, see, but that was not like the bear head is part of the like ritual or whatever. Like there's all these satanic ritual things that are happening. Like, did you notice he cuts himself when he goes into the house?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's part of the ritual. And I think I accidentally spoke wrong. Not the girl's father, but her fiance's family is the rich, successful family. And she is part of the sacrifice as well. He is becoming, I guess, like a pawn in the Grandmaster plan, where he's becoming like influenced by the demonic rituals. And that's why he kills her.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good possibility too. The only thing is is weird with that though too is, so who's the middleman? He's
like the family, I believe.
So if he's the family, then but how do we know that though? Like, I mean, he could technically be anybody. Like, he could be his employer, could be this person from the family.
Well, because he would have a vested interest in keeping him there.
Of course. But then if that is to it, then it's like, we just have to assume that. It just seems
because they have money, right? Because he's offering him money to stay there. So that leads to believe that that's a lot of money. Like, who just has $15,000?
Yeah, that's digging real deep. Yeah. I mean, definitely those things are there. For sure.
Because I just thought, everything that I was seeing was like,
I just thought it was interesting because she's trying to get, in the scene where she sees him and she's like, she fucking freaks out, runs down the stairs, and all of a sudden it's locked. Which kind of adds an element of, there's something a little more supernatural here too. But then he just fucking, I don't know. I just kind of look back in the film and I just see the development of his character. I mean, maybe he is the target because he is such a broken person right now. But then again, it does go back to mental. It goes to mental illness too, though, right? If you go through something so tragic like losing everything in your life, and you're kind of forced to go back to work because deep down that shit, man, the only way I can get through this is to get money, pay these bills, and then move on with my life. And then the way I took it was that he ultimately just could not deal with that grief and, the money, and he was like, hey, it's so much. And then things are just drastically getting out of place. And that's where the dream sequences came in too. And it was like, there's death sequences with the little boy, of course, and, just other things. I mean, not all the sequences I can completely explain, exactly what's going on with those, but I know they're related to his psyche and, what he's developing into, and where he eventually loses touch with reality and ultimately takes out this person. It's funny that we're on such different elements of this, but that's interesting. That's cool. That's really cool. I mean, just the way I look back in the film and the way they develop with his character.
I wonder if there's a commentary on here.
I don't know. That'd be interesting if there was. I would like to actually. I mean, yours makes sense too. I guess there would be minor plot holes in there.
The reason why the reason why I don't think it's just losing his mind is because there's all these cult-like things, like the black liquid and the rash and like the bear head. Fuck, like, I mean, like it seems like there wouldn't be as much of that sort of, and the cut of the finger, like that has to mean something, right? Like, because they pointed it out. Like, so I don't know, like, and also the fact that, like, okay, I guess if he's losing his mind,
the cut of the finger, though, I mean, and him ultimately getting sick, I mean, it could have shown that. I mean, it did make a very valid point of showing that cut finger, and then all of a sudden he gets sick. I mean, you would assume that maybe by chance, like, he got some type of infection or something like that.
Yeah,
he actually did get really fucking sick.
that's the reason why that's the reason. But you gotta look at it this way. That's the reason the character isn't tripping about like all this like throwing up and infection back thing, because he probably thinks that. Like, they don't say that in the film, but that's what I was
exactly.
I was like, I would have ran to the fucking hospital if I had that shit on my back or whatever. But like,
but he was also bound by the money though too, because having these huge, he's got $15,000 coming if he can stay there for the next 3 days, and he knows that this could be his only chance to kind of resurrect himself and get out of this bind. If you pay your bills and get yourself out of bankruptcy, yeah, you're still going to grieve with the loss of your marriage and your son and stuff like that. But ultimately you have to move on eventually. And I think that's kind of where it was pointed at. It's like, man, the only thing keeping him there is that fucking money, because he kind of barters with him too. He's like, yeah, you can do it for 10 grand. He's like, what about 15? He's like, okay.
I would have probably stayed there for 15 grand.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it isn't, it's very interesting. It's interesting.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of curious what other people think.
Yeah, totally, man. I think you made some really valid points. I do figure, like I said, I think there is minor plot holes that would develop from that a little bit, but at the same time, there is imagery that's there and there's things that there too. But, yeah, I don't know. That was my interpretation of it anyways. So.
Yeah. Like, I do think that I think your interpretation is more of like the logical, like almost like Fight Clubby style ending where it's like all in his head, and mine is literal with voodoo, like voodoo. Like,
see, the thing that really kind of separates the two right there is the scene at the end of the film where she is trying to escape.
Yeah, why wouldn't she? She doesn't want to die.
Well, of course, but I mean, if she is somehow involved with this type of thing.
No. She is the fiance that got that guy. It's his family. So she is not part of she's not part of it. They have to sacrifice his fiance to be in order to maintain the next generation of power or whatever, because it's suggested
that's what you're saying.
Done this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's not in on it.
Okay. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then, but then it goes back to that weird ass scene where that dude, he says to our main character, and he's like, man, you got to get out of here. You got to leave.
Yeah, because I don't think he wants his fiance to be murdered. Like I think he's trying to intervene a bit. You know what I mean? Because he like loves her and stuff.
Yeah, man. I mean, totally, 100%. I kind of interpret it like that too, where that could be him. Just really. Like when you're fucking losing your mind and sometimes you see things hear things that you want to hear and see.
Yeah.
In a sense like that, right? He's like, he comes in contact with somebody who's like, man, you got to get out of here. And it's more of his subconscious saying to him, like, dude, you literally got to get the fuck out of here because you are
that would make sense
some major
too.
Shit. It's like that. I mean, I guess I just watch it. Like, we just watch it in two different ways. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm very interested to hear other people's thoughts on this. So
interesting.
But it makes the film so much. It's cool, man. It's cool. See, I mean, I personally think it's oddly enough about mental behavior and.
I almost want to pop in the commentary just to see if he actually explains. If there is a commentary, I don't know if there is.
Yeah, But I mean, it'd be interesting because I actually reviewed another film tonight about mental illness, which is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think our ratings are still positive.
Oh yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
So that's it.
That's it, man. That's episode 85.
No, is it?
No, that is not 85. That is 86. Is it 86? Dude, I don't even know what episode we're on. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you I'm going to ask you again to recap the synopsis on the Expendables horror film. I shouldn't have diverted my attention to this. No, it is 85. It's 85.
It's 86, dude.
No, it is 86.
Westerns was 85.
all the same shit, man.
No, it's not.
86. You're right. It is, because I wrote it down wrong on all my ratings. I have it as a episode 86, and at the top I have, or 85, and then on the top I have it 86. I'm just not very good tonight, man. But, yeah, guys, that is going to conclude. Hope you guys like the episode, and leave comments. Holla back at us, some players.